Chapter 51. As soon as I arrived, I felt the weight on my shoulder being lifted. Knowing that someone powerful enough to ignore anything I could do had pressed on my mind more than I thought it would. I need to move my ass and start grinding for real. Dad, I made you a cake, Mary shouted when she saw me walk out of the portal and towards her. I think my heart just failed and when restarted, because it doesn't want to make Mary sad. A cake? Who taught you? I was helped by Grandpa. Having received his cue, the Ancient One appeared from behind the corner with a smile, warmer than usual. He almost always had a smile on his face, a calm smile, but now it feels warm for some reason. And what is the occasion? I ask Mary while going down on one knee to hug her. You don't know? Dad is stupid. I might be stupid sometimes, but that's the reason you are here. You are the smart one. She giggled and then turned to Grandpa and nodded. Before I could react, dozens of people around us jumped out. I recognized most of them. Some were the kids I rescued. Others were sorcerers who had practiced with me or taught me the basics. What surprised me wasn't their presence, which had gotten hidden by a powerful spell. What surprised me the most was the letters made with magic written in the sky. Happy birthday. Mary rushed up to me, and the same did Obsidian, Ivy, and Xavier. They had senses that something joyous was happening and they wanted to be part of it. Doggy, Mary shouted when seeing Xavier, who answered by changing his form to a green, very cute, and flying Shiba Inu. Mary hugged me once more, this time putting all her strength she had regained through physical therapy and constant use of healing spells, and rushed to play with Xavier. I can see you are surprised. The Ancient One walked up to me, his smile warmer when looking at the scene enacted by Xavier and Mary. I might have forgotten today was my birthday. Yes, that was something I had predicted would happen from the moment you began studying under me. Your focus, while admirable, causes you to lose track of the time, by a lot. Isn't today the 5th of February? I genuinely asked. It's the 3rd of March. I might have lost track of time by just a few days. Keep saying that, and it might become reality. Regardless, today is your birthday, and I decided to ask the help of my granddaughter to throw you a little party. She was ecstatic when she discovered she could do something for you. I stayed silent while imagining Mary jumping all around Camartage to make sure to invite everyone and make sure everything was perfect. Yeah, I can see that. Usually, I would wait until the end of the party to give you my gift, but I think this is something you will need a lot of time to think about how to use it. Appearing seemingly out of nowhere, a fial appeared on his palm, containing a liquid seemingly constantly shifting in color like a rainbow. Wondering what it was, I took it when he gave it to me, and a window explaining the item to me appeared. And let me tell you, this thing's is some good shit. Phial of Elemental Infusion, Mythic. Description: a phial made by the strongest sorcerer ever recorded in history, his name unknown and better kept hidden in the lost library of Alexandria. This phial was made purely to help magicless learn how to use magic. Previously a very common object is now something unique that very few people can say to have even ever seen. Durability, 1/1. Effects: Elemental Infusion. When drunk, if you were to think of a precise element, you will be able to gain a connection with said element. If the element deems you worthy of wielding it, you will gain a connection to it. I can accept this, why don't you use it? I would have been fine with $10, this is worth more than anything I could ever AC. Oh shit, you stupid child, I have seen you grow more than anyone else. I have seen your heart, how you care, but are unable to show it because you're scared to get hurt and not meet some parameters you placed yourself. I didn't talk, still shocked about what he had just given me. I like being called grandpa. When I was younger, I had a son, but he never got old enough to marry and be happy, so I never experienced being a grandfather, a paternal figure. I had already lost hope the older I got, but then you arrived, with your stupidity and creativity, breaking rules about the world I thought unbreakable. You made me wonder if I could break the rule I had set myself. The silence became heavier, my heart pounding in my chest as my mind pondered each of his words. Could you ever see me as your F-? He didn't get to finish his words, as I directly hugged him, a single tear falling from my eye as I felt accepted by someone for who I am, was, and will be. Grandpa made Daddy cry. Doggy, Ataeok, Mary shouted, and following her orders, Xavier landed on the Ancient One's head and began biting his head, doing no damage. We both laughed, the previous sad/happy silence that we had created broken by the bundle of joy known as Mary. He turns towards me, his smile now having more significance in my mind and soul. Yao, my name is Yao. You got a name? I thought your parents' surname was One. He sighed but still smiled. I think this year might have brought more growth than any other year ever has. Chapter 52. The rest of the party went surprisingly smoothly. There were no accidents, no monster suddenly popping up to kill us all, no 1000-year-old curse only now popping up to ruin everything, nothing at all. It looks like my life is not only bad luck after all. After the party ended, I placed Mary on the bed and left Xavier, Obsidian, and Ivy with her. Walking outside, I evoked my wings to go up in the sky as fast as I could, but not fast enough to break the sound barrier, not wanting to wake everyone up. The higher I rose, the more my mind cleared, the sound produced by the wind the only thing bearable for kilometers. So high I rose that not even planes dared approach me. I was alone, and I wished for nothing more at the moment. As I approached the emptiness of space, I stopped myself just a few kilometers away, something that I could cover in mere seconds. I didn't dare to surpass. Instead, I remained at the same height as I went into deep meditation. I felt the mana surrounding me, the numbness of elementless mana, the vitality of nature, the adaptability of the dimension, the eagerness of the blood, and the speed of the wind. I felt all of it, but I still missed something that could finally give me the security, the courage to approach the mansion, and get my revenge. And so I did something. I used my points. The closer I got to 100, the harder it was becoming to grow, points diminishing as training became nothing more than a waste of time. SP 70 equals 43, int 90 equals 100, WIS 83 equals 100. New perks, Mind of the Arcane, Mana Catalyst. Mind of the Arcane. Effect, open your senses to the arcane. A paramount skill both on and off the battlefield. Elements and spells you control within your dominion have increased harmony. Very fast river equals Mana Catalyst. Effect, you have pushed your connection to mana to levels never approached. Mana is you, and you are mana. MP Regen modifier is now X4. I felt all the mana constantly changing into a different form. Fire filled with courage, the steadiness of earth, the stillness of water, the vastness of space, the weight of gravity, the infinity of time, but I searched deeper and pushed further than I ever did before. The mana surrounding me filled my body, my muscles stopped being made of flesh, my bones were not made of collagen anymore, my nerves fused with my body, I was slowly stopping being a mere human, and turning into something far better. You are performing a physical ritual without being aware of the changes, the gamer is picking the best course of action for the user's growth. My flesh and organs were made by blood, my bones by wood, my nerves were directly connected to this dimension, and I stopped breathing air as my body produced the oxygen I needed by itself. Race, human equals human mana conduit. Mana conduit. You are a human, but in normal terms, you are a being made in human shape, but with the same materials. Mana is your body, your flesh, your bones, your organs, but you are still human. Effect, plus 20 to all physical stats, enhanced control and perception over all mana, reduces cost of magic by 30%. VIT has reached the 50 mark. You have a connection to blood mana. New perk, Limb Regeneration. Limb Regeneration. Effect, your body has a direct blood connection, thus boosting your healing factor. Losing a limb won't now cause a negative status effect. Instead, based on your HP regen, the missing body part will grow back. While previously I only perceived mana types, now I felt their connection. I saw how they were connected to create a beautiful picture of absolute chaos, but also harmony in its own way. Mana was everything and nothing, it was the process of creation and destruction. The building block of all realities, but also the destroyer of them, and now I am part of this energy. My hair changed color, from its previous black, now turned blue with the same shade of elementless mana. My eyes, instead, a window directly to my soul, constantly shifted color, crimson red, deep green, light green, golden, and blue, a representation of the mana types I am currently connected to, but a new one is about to arrive. I moved my hand, and mana followed without even controlling it. I clapped my hands, and the dimension shrank. I swung down with my arm, and a blade made purely of wind flew forward. The wood that constructed my bones came out from my skin to create wood armor. The blood that composed flesh began heating as my body expanded with pure energy and strength. I was about to continue the thing I had come here for, when my first confidant arrived, the being who had started with me my progression towards magic, the one who remained always by my side and helped me grow more than anyone else, Obsidian. Flying in the middle of the air, the little dragon was smiling while looking at me, feeling a sense of similarity. The two of us made both of our mana now, and then a light covered his whole body. His limbs grew longer, his body became larger and stronger, and his wings, previously barely able to cover my face, now became big enough to cover my whole body. Without saying anything, Obsidian rolled his new body all around me as a form of protection, already aware that what I was about to do could bring new forms of attention I didn't want. Finally taking out the phial of elemental infusion, I removed its cap and smelled nothing. The liquid inside was a liquid form of elementless mana, ready to be turned into anything I could imagine, and I have quite the bright imagination with my current int and WIS. So I swung it down, and my conscience slipped from my hands, for I wasn't merely gaining a new element, what I was gaining was one of the building blocks of the universe. I am bringing chaos. Chapter 53. I could feel everything, but at the same time I understood nothing. If my brain would even try and comprehend all the information that is currently going through it, it would explode in less than a second. But even though I didn't understand it, I could feel it, I could see it, I could control it. A mix of colors blinded me as soon as I opened my eyes. Volcanoes exploded, fire covered the ground, rivers of blood went on for what felt like endless lengths, but this was only half of this new world I had found myself in. Compellelty contracting the first half, a world of green was on the other side, rivers of crystal clear water, trees as thick and as long as skyscrapers, wild animals going around as if the other side of their world wasn't hell. And there, standing on what is labeled as the hell side of this realm, is a man, or what can only be described as a man, his skin white like snow with long horns growing from his temples, long white hair going to his shoulders, red armor covering his arms and legs, long clawed hands, and a red mantle. His eyes felt like black holes as his existence made my whole being shiver for a second, my powers taking control over me to calm me down. You, a new holder of chaos magic? But you are not connected to me, are those things your fault? he said while pointing at what I labeled as the heavenly side of this realm. Who are you? He didn't answer, and instead raised his hand, dark red energy covering it, as I slowly felt every atom of my body shift to something that they weren't supposed to be. The gamer has perceived an external force trying to force their will on the holder. Due to this being a process separate from any other being, the gamer will take care of this, and stop the external force from blocking the growth of the holder. I felt whole once again, the process that was changing my body having left no effect on my body, aside from the new dark red mana filling part of my mana pool. The dark red mana that had covered the man's hand now moved against him, crawling against his arm and creating chains to block him. What are you? His voice boomed, almost rupturing my eardrums, his voice making even my soul shake, but that was all it could do, as my mouth opened without my control. You who tried to block my growth shall feel the pain of never growing stronger from this moment forward. The voice felt alien. I hadn't said those words, I hadn't even thought them. The chains that had covered the man's body slowly seeped into his body, and as they did, his previous majestic and muscular physique withered out. His presence remained the one of an impossibly strong being, but compared to before he now looked like a joke. I instead felt like $1,000,000, the dark red mana seeping into every cell of my body and filling me with energy, a dark red crown popping on my head as a new tattoo formed on upper center part of my back, right below the neck. New perk, Paragon of Chaos. Paragon of Chaos. You who decided to understand how universes work, you who ventured deep into the darkest depths of magic, you who faced a god and didn't cower in fear, have now been recognized as the true origin of the unpredictable, unstoppable, and ever-present chaos. Effect, you can control and produce chaos magic, and the users of chaos magic will feel your absolute connection to their magic. I understood now how everything was and wasn't at the same time, how to control this dimension, and how to combat the being who had tried to manipulate reality to take control over me. Unfortunately for him, my powers were levels beyond his puny control. But even though I understood now, I could do nothing. I had what can only be described as a nuke, and no way to launch it. But I am satisfied, the being who wanted to kill me had already been cursed and will have no way to ever take control over me. While I continue to grow and reach his level of power, he is locked here, on this precise moment, on this level of power. Thank you, I said while smiling, my hand rising as chaos mana waved around my whole body. Until next time. And I disappeared, leaving behind what was known as the god of chaos, thin, now a mere shadow of its previous self, and with no possibility of ever growing to what it once was. My powers had controlled reality, they had changed the timeline of this universe, they had rewritten a set ending, they had become the author of my growth, and they will do everything to not let anyone prevent it. Because they are the author and I am their work. Opening my eyes, I had to close them again as the effect of chaos mana had decided to start and change the effect of mana eyes. Mana eyes equals chaos eyes. Chaos eyes. Effect, your perception of mana has been boosted to levels previously unimaginable. Your mana constitution has made it so the changes are permanent and won't require you to consume mana to activate them. And just like the notification said, my view of mana completely changed. I can't even put into words how this feels, such an alien feeling couldn't be described with the words used by humans. He is awake, and as you both can see, no horns or a weird mantle has appeared on his body. I immediately recognized the voice, the one I now see as my father, the Ancient One, was standing in front of me with his back towards me, blocking the path of two women. What are you? The woman wearing only red, with red hair, and with the same type of mana I had just gained, said to me. Hi. I waved at them. Chapter 54. Can anyone tell me what is going on? I asked, my question more pointed to the Ancient One than the other two. When I gave you your gift, I thought you would have chosen a powerful element, something like space or even time magic, but you just had to go directly to the source, did you not? The Ancient One said, a mix of exasperation and happiness visible from the trembling smile on his face. I mean, you told me to always grow further than I thought possible. Grow, not change the laws of the universe and overthrow a god. So you did it, you killed Thin. The question came from the older of the duo, her energy darker than the younger one's, her presence not far away from the level of the Ancient One. Kill? No, unfortunately, though he most likely will never be able to do anything else for the rest of his life. What did you do? The younger one asked, her eyes piercing like swords as she tried to find any clue to what had happened. And why should I tell you? I don't even know you. I matter-of-factly stated. Don't be a brat, while one of the two isn't exactly a friend of mine, he said while looking at the older one. The other girl is someone who experienced a life similar to yours, and can be trusted. She is quite a nice girl, if just a bit too emotional at times. I can understand your point of view, but the last time I said something about my powers to someone, it was because of a parasite in my mind controlling me, so you can see why I am not exactly ready just to shout out what I did to everyone. I could teach you how to use chaos magic. The older one said. That is quite the proposition. While I am the Sorcerer Supreme, even I know very little about the ancient art of chaos magic, though I suggest you also take the other one as a teacher. Agatha way of teaching might bring too much disbalance to your chaos magic. Balance? I asked, but this time it wasn't the Ancient One that answered, the younger girl, of which I still didn't know the name of, did. Chaos magic is one of the most versatile types of magic, it can bring destruction but also creation. Based on how you use and control it, it can very easily change how powerful certain spells are. So like the Force. Why do most people compare it to that? Yes, like the Force, she said while rolling her eyes. From what I gather, she is the evil one, and you are the one who uses it for good. I am not evil, I described myself as selfish, Agatha answered my description of her, but she got ignored. Yeah, you can see it like that. I mostly use my powers to rewrite reality to help citizens. She uses hers to rewrite reality to hurt people. They usually attack first. Agatha shrugged her shoulders, not even trying to say she had never hurt anyone. I guess that might be okay then, information for information. Might we do it on the ground though? My magical resources are starting to deplete after just gaining a new element of magic. No one had anything against it, so the Ancient One opened a portal to his tea room, and of course, he had tea already ready for everyone just waiting at the table. You still have to give me the recipe for your tea, Agatha said while raising her brow. You will have to get it from my dead body. Don't tempt me, she said with a sultry tone and a smile similar to the one I had seen on the Black Widow. Weird sexual tension aside, we sat down. No one drank the tea though, aside for me. Fuck manners, I needed the MP Regan boost right now. So, I guess the Ancient One dash. Call me Yao. I think at this point you can at least call me by my real name. Will take a while to stick. I had gotten used to thinking Ancient was your name. Regardless, I guess Yao has already filled you in on how I was able to even come close to chaos magic from the start. He gave you one of the most powerful potions ever made as a birthday present. Agatha snickered out. Okay, so, I might or might not have completely incapacitated. What was his name again? Something similar to Thulu. Then, Lovecraft took inspiration. Agatha. Bombshell aside, I might or might have not completely incapacitated Than from ever being able to ever grow from this moment while also stripping him from all of his powers to make me able to generate chaos magic. The tension in the room could have been cut with a knife, the tea on the two women's hand almost falling from their grasp while me and Yao silently waited for the reaction while sipping our tea. Excuse me. Whenever I gain a new type of magic, I become a source of it, becoming part of it. This time, though, something tried to stop me, so I stopped him from stopping me. My powers are quite adamant about me growing stronger. Your powers? You have something else aside from magic. No comment. They already knew I had magic and could dwarf a god, under specific circumstances. That was more than enough. So you didn't kill, unfortunately, but made him so weak that he can't ever interact with us anymore, while also turning yourself into a beacon of chaos magic. Pretty much. Agatha remained silent before bursting into a joyous laugh. I could pay gold to see him right now. Please tell me you have a picture of him. Sorry, I didn't bring a camera with me. Next time I meet a god that wants to kill me, I will remember. Good, I hate those pompous fuckers, most of them are always prideful and full themselves. So, that pretty much sums up my meeting with Than. When do we start training in chaos magic? Tomorrow, I'll have to tell some people that I am going to stay here for some days. Also, since everyone has already said their name, I am Wanda, she said while moving her hand forward hinting for a handshake. I accepted the hand. Adrian. Chapter 55. Ignoring the pain that came from my muscles, I remained still, maintaining the position horse riding that had been ingrained in my brain through the effect of the camartage style skill, the impact of being under 50% stamen, making my muscles start to hurt. The only reason I was able to maintain this position for 3 whole hours was thanks to the of nature's men to regain my stamina, and focus making me ignore any type of distraction. Why am I doing this? Because I don't like my current build. In a game where there is no apparent level cap and you can learn any skill and spell, why are you stuck with one singular build? Why not become a master of all? Until now, I have only become a good magician, but my physical stats and fighting skills are just above average. Finally, my body snapped like a whip. First came a fist, next a roundhouse kick, a low spinning kick, a rising palm strike, and an elbow strike to finish. Panting, I remained still, letting the feeling of completing the session fill my muscles. My connection to blood letting me unconsciously control my muscles such that the more my stats grow, the more my body will take the route I want it to take. Slowly moving back into position, I let my muscles relax and heal, the effect of this training session already visible through the notifications. STR 46 equals 49, VIT 56 equals 60, and 44 equals 49, Dex 76 equals 78. My vitality was the easiest to grow thanks to my connection to 2 mana types that were directly connected to vitality and life. Same goes for Dex and Wind mana. I still need new mana types that could help with endurance and strength, maybe Earth and Fire? I will need to further research this topic. It's incredible how you control your mana. A woman's voice said from behind me, and though I had known she had been looking at me for quite a while, I had decided to ignore her and continue my training. Instead of answering her, I started meditating, not sitting, and still very aware of my surroundings. Thanks to the little stunt I had pulled when gaining chaos mana, my meditation skill had drastically changed to something far more powerful and useful. 1 with mana LV.50. Your mind is as calm as nature, your body is pure like water, and your soul is connected to mana on a never-before-seen level. Effect: while awake and calm, all your regenerations will be boosted by 50%. While going into a deep meditation, all your regenerations will be boosted by 250%, and your connection to all types of mana is also deeply boosted. And yes, it is as broken as it sounds. Thanks to it, during my nightly training session I was able to max out some of my weaker spells and even evolve some of them. Spinning mana bullet LV 3/10 equals endless spinning mana bullet LV.max. Arcane weapon LV 2/5 equals elemental weapon LV.max. Portal creation LV 2/10 equals LV.5/10. Thorn spikes LV 1/5 equals LV.5/5. Nature's mend LV 3/5 equals LV.5/5. Thorn vines LV 1/5 equals LV.5/5. Having a nearly endless mana pool helps spamming spells to make them grow more than I expected. You were more fun when you thought we were going to attack you, Agatha said after realizing I wasn't going to answer her. And you were much scarier when I didn't see you flirt with my paternal figure. I retorted. Is Yao your paternal figure? I never thought he had it in him, she said, surprised. Trying to fully understand the emotions of a most likely centuries-old wizard isn't exactly easy, so I am not sure she is really as surprised as she is showing. When my stamina pool got back to full, I began moving back once again, ready to start another training session, only to get stopped once again by Agatha. Why are you doing this? I like training, and also I think my powers have given me a liking to gain through effort. She didn't say much, but if I had looked better, I could have noticed a sliver of disbelief in her eyes. Around 8 a.m., I stopped training, changed my clothes from my training gear to my normal attire and headed for my room to make merry breakfast, Agatha still closely following. Before going inside, though, I spun towards her, my previous calmness left, and now a face of pure coldness and anger took its place. What I am about to show you is the most treasured thing in my life. If even a single strand of hair is removed from her head, I would kill every single being you love, and then torture you until the end of this universe arrives. Before she could answer, I opened the door. I headed inside to see Mary already awake and trying to make pancakes with the help of Ivy, Zephyr lying on the top of her head, and Obsidian, once again in his small form, flying around the kitchen to bring the necessary ingredients. Dad, I made pancakes, look. I don't think pancakes are supposed to be purple. Thanks, sweetie. I will eat all of them, I said, taking a bite from one of them. New resistance, poison resistance LV.1. Poison resistance LV.1 equals 2. Severe poison, you will lose 10 HP/S. Duration, tens. The things I do for love. Chapter 56. Chaos magic doesn't exactly have spells or incantations like other magic types, instead it's straight magical manipulation. Its use is divided into two types, creation and destruction. Very straightforward but also something that took master magicians centuries to realize. Something that was previously thought as a magic only usable to kill and destroy is also able to rebuild whole city ties and remove injuries as if they had never been there, Wanda explained to me while I continued my physical training by doing handstand push-ups to finally try and push my strength to 50. But that is something that requires very precise control over it. While destruction is far easier to accomplish, it can also be tricky. No one wants to destroy a person, only to find themselves with a whole city gone because they weren't able to gauge their power. Still listening, I proceeded to use only one hand to continue doing push-ups, my body screaming at me to stop and take some rest, but my willpower overshadowed my laziness and made me able to push my body beyond its current limits. The first time I unlocked my connection to chaos magic, I used it without much finesse and caused a lot of problems to a lot of people, but the more I grew, the more I realized how much I could do for others with my powers. I felt my muscles about to explode in my right arm. I remained still as I tried to push myself up. My muscles didn't tear, only thanks to my powers turning the damage into HP damage. But I still felt them trying to, but I continued, I pushed, and pushed, until I was mere millimeters away from completing the push-up. What we will teach you is not how to use chaos magic, but to control it. How you will use it is something strictly personal and something you will have to discover for yourself. I finally pushed myself up, completing the 100 push-ups. My stamina had almost hit rock bottom as I felt the biceps scream for revenge against their torturer. Me. Physical form LV.45 equals 46. STR 49 equals 50. And 49 equals 50. For reaching the 50 mark in street you have gained the perk, Undomitable Force. For reaching the 50 mark in end, you have gained the perk, Unstoppable Machine. Undomitable Force. Effect, your strikes have been boosted by your Undomitable Strength. Every physical strike will now deal 1.5 more damage, also doubles the effect of strength when performing strength-related actions. Unstoppable Machine. Effect, your stamina and stamina regen have been doubled, your physical defenses have been boosted to reach a level never before seen. Pushing my body up onto my feet now was as easy as moving a feather, the effect of Undomitable Force already making my body feel like a beast ready to be unleashed, the effect of Unstoppable Machine already fueling my body back from its missing stamina. Have you even listened to a single word I said? Wanda asked me while massaging her temples. Only because I seem like I am not listening, it doesn't mean I am not. You have explained how chaos magic is very fine path between creation and destruction, and how both require very fine control over it as they could both lead to unpredicted accidents, and while I assure you my control over my magic is absolute. To prove my point, I summoned all my mana types aside for chaos and started using the air as my canvas, recreating a perfect image of her, the levels of my painting and drawing skills leveling a ton because of the leap in quality from the last painting I had done. Dash. Painting LV 10 equals 29. Drawing LV point 10 equals 31. Dex 79 equals 80. Dash. And there standing right in front of Wanda, was an exact copy of her, though I had taken the freedom to change some of her color because of my absence of certain elements. How long can you keep something like this up for? I didn't immediately answer her. Instead, a minute later, I saw my MP bar go back to full thanks to my Regan recovering almost half of my mana pool in just a minute. For as long as I wish. Well, this makes things easier at least. Your skills seem to already be adequate for the basic levels of chaos magic. Taking a pen from one of her pockets, she placed it on the ground and looked back at me. Change it to black. Seems easy enough. Evoking chaos magic, I tried to control it, but it was like nothing before. It wished to be controlled but also wished to change everything into something it wasn't before. It wanted to create chaos, and this being my first time using it caused the pen to turn into a blue headless moving chicken. At least you didn't summon a giant octopus like I did my first time, she said while turning the chicken back to a blue pen. Try again. Taking a big breath, I use my full focus this time, the effect of the skill making my mind sharper than before, and more attentive to minute details. I summoned chaos mana. I felt it shift. It was like a mix of water and gas, easily malleable but chaotic in its fluid movement. But I controlled it. I continued to use my will to stop it from doing whatever it wished, and after it finally stopped moving like a maniac, I used it. A red aura covered the pen for a second. The previously blue pen now was black. I had changed reality. Perfect. Now change its physical structure, the length, thickness, color, and also leave something like a mark on it to make sure you did it. This is going to be a bitch. Chapter 57. The day had come. After a week of nothing but training under Wanda and Agatha, my control over chaos mana had grown to at least an acceptable level. While I can't change a whole city so that it never existed, I can affect an area and some changes to it quite easily, though after doing that my MP would hit rock bottom. But that is the reason why Obsidian is with me, and with his almost endless mana pool, at least compared to mine. I am wearing all my items aside for the mask. I want them to recognize me after all. I want them to see who is coming, to make him realize he had caused his downfall. If you need help, remember I'm just a portal away from coming, Yao said to me. His face was a mix of proud knees and worry. He had seen me grow more than anyone else and he had seen how much I had trained for this very moment. But he also knew how strong some of the people I am going to fight are, so his worry is reasonable. This time I want pictures. Killing people who think they are above everyone else is always so good, Agatha told me, but after a week of being with her, I had gotten used to ignoring her. Same did everyone in Camartage. When I heard what Xavier did, I couldn't believe it. He always felt creepy with the teacher's act and with the way he used his powers, but coming this far? Beat him up for me, too, Wanda said with a smile. The last one to say goodbye to me was Mary, who used Zephyr in his wolf form to reach my neck level and hug me, using every bit of her strength to make sure I felt loved. A few seconds later, she let go and landed on the ground thanks to her favorite familiar. You are going to fight evil people. I am. Kick their ass. My blood froze, and the same went for Yao and Wanda, so we all looked at Agatha, who was just whistling while not looking at us. We will discuss this later. Opening a portal, I could see right above the mansion. The damage I had done to their garden was visible even from this far above. Summoning my wings, I take a step inside the portal and look back with a smile. See you later. For the mutants in Xavier's mansion, the day had started like any other, though some voice on why Adrian had left had risen. No one had actually done anything for some reason, a forced calmness seemingly being forced on everyone's mind, but two remained still alert, the absence of any type of rebellion making their worries feel more real than ever. One was a very fiery telepath, and the other was a lover that never blossomed. He is making them calm, Jean told Rouge while in her room, her powers doing their best to keep the room telepath-proof as much as possible. Adrian was right, he went through so much, and he was right. I feel so stupid, Rogue said while holding her head with her hands. Don't be, we all fell for it. Adrian was the sparkle that made us doubt. It took longer than I would have liked though. So what do we do now? If we tell one of the teachers he is going to punish us, if we tell a student he will only get brainwashed again, what are we even supposed to do? Maybe we can contact Adrian somehow? Discover how he freed himself of the brainwashing. It's not like he will magically appear from the sky, Jean. As soon as those words came out of the mouth, the sound of windows shattering filled the whole mansion, accompanied by an explosion and something landing where there used to be the mansion's garden. The pieces of the glasses that had been shattered floating and then going to where they used to be the previously broken window now back to normal. Jean and Rogue looked outside the room they were in, and there, standing at 6'2" wearing a coat they knew very well with also some new pieces of armor they had never seen, with symbols glowing from different parts of his body, with a similar face but very different eye and hair color, and most importantly with a very different body structure, was Adrian. The moment he took a step towards the mansion, the previously dead garden sprang back to life, the dead bushes now returned to normal, all the dead trees now filled back with life and nearly doubled in number, the green grass covering every single millimeter of the previous brown and dead ground. Standing on his shoulder was a very thick and long snake, longer than a titan boa. On his right side were a green wolf emitting green energy, on his left inside a dragon even bigger than the wold, his dark scales seemingly devouring every speck of light that touched his body, his golden eyes already looking at their direction. Please ask for something less next time, Jean said while opening the window and jumping down. I'll try, Rogue said and followed her. The moment I arrived, the first people I met were the ones I didn't want to meet. One of them was a mind reader, and the other I used to have a crush on. You have successfully protected your mind from surface mind reading. Mind Fortress LV59 equals 60. All that training paid off. Before she could speak, I had already turned Jean into a two-dimensional being, making her unable to do anything to me, and just as I was about to cover Rogue's body in vines and trap her, she spoke. We know Xavier did it. Well, that makes things easier then. The fact that I didn't doubt her born from the fact that though her mind could be controlled, her body couldn't. A lie is always a lie to someone's heart, and her heart didn't skip a beat. I made Jean back into a normal three-dimensional being and looked at the both of them, both ready to raid a school. Chapter 58. So you figured it out? I could have expected Rogue, but you, Jean, the little teacher's pet, never would have imagined it. I am not as naive as you might think, and I also think you should take a step to the right. Following her instructions, I took a step to the right and barely evaded a red laser from piercing my stomach. The forest I had created at my arrival died because of the heat produced by the laser, but as soon as it died, it returned to life. Running at full force, the big players of the mansion came rushing towards us. Scott, Aurora, Logan, Bobby, and a little behind them were Kitty, Kurt, and Xavier. Seeing their faces once again made me hesitate for barely a second. The fear in their eyes made me doubt my decisions, but then my rage came back at full force when I realized the emotions weren't mine. Emotional control resisted by mental fortress. At my side, I saw Jean and Rouge also shake their heads, realizing that Xavier had tried to do something to them. The face he made when he saw his mental attack did not affect us, which made the reason to be here even more satisfying. Xavier, what a pleasure to see you again. Would you mind having your guard dog put on a leash? It was so hard having your garden back to what it once was. Scott's eyes once again began glowing red, but just as he was about to launch an attack, he became a two-dimensional being, and he will remain like that until I say so. Scott, you fucker. Logan saw the disappearance of Scott and thought the worst, his eyes not even noticing a screaming Scott on the ground, almost stepping over the people around him. Logan came rushing like a train, but just as he was about to launch at me, his legs disappeared. Well, they didn't disappear, they just were lying in my inventory after I had sliced the dimension that connected his upper torso to his legs. Sleep. Quite a simple use of chaos magic, making someone who wasn't sleeping sleep. One of the first things Agatha taught. She said it was a good way to deal with pests, second only to killing them. I felt a tear in the dimension, and someone fusing their body with the nature I restored, so I moved both of my hands in two different directions, both covered in golden dimensional mana. With one hand, I forced Kitty out of the ground, with the other, I forced it inside a dimension I had never perceived and took out Kurt, putting them both to sleep with a quick cast. A loud cracking came from the sky, and there floating in all her glory and power stood Aurora. She raised her hands, and just as she was about to summon her powers to turn me into a burned mage, Zephyr came into action. Rushing with all its speed, it smashed his body against hers. The surprise attack made her lose control for a second, letting Zephyr control the wind in the area to push the clouds she had summoned away. Rushing from one of the sides of the mansion came Colossus, who went against Obsidian in a match of pure physical strength, the size difference giving a clear advantage to Obsidian. Bobby went down with a quick sleep and was detained by Ivy, so it left just me and Xavier, all of this happening in the span of 15 seconds. Something I was scared to deal with just a week ago had been dealt with in 15 seconds. Xavier, would you mind retrieving those nasty parasites from everyone's mind? He stayed silent, a cacophony of notifications telling me he was constantly trying to force his thoughts into my mind. It was good training, so good I even got a level in Mind Fortress. I guess it is the hard way, though. Grabbing him by his neck, I pushed up in the air, his legs hanging without any control, or so they did, because with just one push of blood mana, they were healed, and he had control over them once again. His eyes snapped open at the realization, but before he could relish in the thought of being able to walk away, I placed my free hand on one of his legs and pulled. Who would have thought that pulling someone's leg off their body is considered a strength-related action? It was so easy that it felt like ripping a piece of paper. The amount of blood that came from just one leg covered the previously green grass with red. Ready to follow orders. I have to say, he is a slimy fucker, but he got the willpower. Wonder how long it will last. Jean and Rouge remained silent as I continued torturing Xavier, his screams music to my ears as more and more blood came out of his body. By the time I had finished with him, I had 7 sets of legs resting inside my inventory. Colossus stopped fighting, Aurora fell to the ground, her hands covering her face, and Scott looked around, trying to figure out what was going on. Seeing this, I lifted the sleeping spells, the 4 of them having a similar reaction to the others, Logan even trying to use his arms to crawl towards Xavier. Lefit, all my spells also made Scott return to normal. The moment he saw me his face became apologetic, his previous actions making him feel like an asshole. Smiling at the new scene, I turned to Xavier, missing both of his legs, tears covering his face, no scream coming from his mouth because no more air was in his lungs. What to do with you? Chapter 59. Leave him to me. The words came from Jean, saying I wasn't expecting it, was an understatement. We both know that if you say her is going to prison, I am directly teleporting him in space, right? Killing him would be too easy. His current mind is too weak to do anything with his powers. Let's seal the deal and make him unable to hurt anyone else for the rest of his life. She puts her hand on his head and forces her mind inside of him. Through my connection to dimensional mana, I felt some type of different but similar energy directly coming from her. For the first time, she used her powers to the maximum directly near me. Not wanting to get involved, I took some steps back and watched the scene unfold, though I didn't enjoy it for long because of a notification I received a few seconds later. One of the absolute beings of this universe wishes to speak to you. Accept? Yes/no. What the fuck? Yes. A direct connection to the being known as the Phoenix Force has been created. She has been given the option of only directly speaking to you. All forms of mind/soul/future/past reading have been stopped or erased. Hello Adrian. Not creepy at all, voice inside my head. Do not fear, I am speaking to you only to thank you. If Xavier's plans had been continued, he would have brought the downfall of this universe. I didn't do it for that. I didn't even know he would have caused it. How is that possible? He would have done nothing. He doesn't know he was causing it, but his actions were endearing my host, my connection to this universe. I immediately looked at Jean. It didn't take a genius to connect the dots. Your powers seem rather fond of giving rewards for accomplishing missions or helping others, so how about a little reward? The Phoenix's Force wishes to reward you for your actions. Accept? Yes/no. Where is the catch? No one gives anything for nothing. We both know if she wished, Jean could have done it by herself, or at least with a little use of her mind powers. Just to listen for future requests. This universe is one of the one's constant great dangers, both from the inside and the outside. Though you are still weak in the big scales, your growth is enough proof that one day you will become one of the big players of this universe. I just wish to make you one of your protectors. I can agree to that. Be warned that based on the request, I might refuse or straight up fight you for even suggesting it. I will wait for such a moment. It's been a long time since a mortal defied me, and it's getting pretty boring up here. For now, just accept these rewards as a sign of friendship. Popping right out of nowhere, a little chicken made purely of dimensional mana popped. As soon as it saw me, it chirped in happiness and flew above my head, resting on it as if it were its nest. Not that I am complaining, just its presence seems to make it easier to control and use dimensional mana. A dimensional phoenix wishes to become one of your familiars. Accept? Yes/no. Not what I was expecting but still very appreciated. Take care of that little one, he can be a handful when he wants to. I will, and don't worry, I already have a daughter, so I can handle a little bit of cheekiness. I hope to meet you again, Adrian Riviera. Connection to the Phoenix Force has been interrupted. That went smoother than expected. My eyes once again went towards Jean as I felt her powers disappear, Xavier's face now numb and seemingly dead, though I could still feel a pulse from him. You made him stupid. I turned him into a baby. I erased his memories, locked his knowledge on how to use his powers, and gave him a form of learning disability, so he won't be able to hurt anyone else from now on. Damn, I can see why you thought my punishment was too light. You can be scary when you want to, Jean. And don't ever forget that. She said with smile. Now that the situation had calmed down she could relax. The pressure she had felt from the moment she had discovered Xavier's secret having waited on her mind until that moment had caused a lot of stress. Would you mind helping me? You are the one who tore my legs. Someone said from the ground while pulling my pants. Logan, I almost forgot about you, I said while looking at the limping man. Fuck you. I rolled my eyes and used blood mana to start healing him. That was when I received a weird notification. The subject James, Logan, Howlett is under the effect of deadly poisoning. Do you wish to spend 500 more HP and MP to fully remove the effect? I never poisoned him, though. Wait. Logan, quick, does the metal that composes your claw also come with your powers or was the metal that covers them caused by something or someone? The second one. Why? What's wrong? Aside from the fact that it is slowly killing you and you are alive only thanks to your healing factor, nothing at all. He remained silent, already aware of the danger that adamantium carried when implanted inside a body. I can remove it from you while also healing you. Don't do it. I already lived a long life, living a longer one, but becoming weaker would just mean I wouldn't be able to help people. I can live with the pain. Suit yourself, then I guess you will want these back, I said while taking out his bottom half and reconnecting it to his body. He got up and tested if everything was alright. You are a nice kid, Adrian, don't change. And you still smell of cheap beer. Avoiding the punch that followed made me remember the times I trained boxing with him. Chapter 60. What followed happened faster than I expected. First, Elixir made sure everyone was healed, which didn't take a lot since I hadn't done any serious damage to anyone besides Logan, and I had already healed him, so no problem from that part. Next was the explanation, which also didn't take too long, thanks to Jean sharing her memories with everyone present. How they still trust telepaths baffles me, but that's not my problem. The one who took the longest was the children, since they had to calm down and help in case the mental brainwashing they had gone through because of Xavier had left some type of trauma. I have to thank all the time I spent with Mary during her still traumatized days. Thanks to them I knew how to deal with children and how to at least make them calm down. It's incredible I haven't gained a skill from it. New skill, Therapist LV.1, WIS. Just wish for it and you will be served. In the end, I leveled it to 4 and had several children surrounding me playing with my familiars or sleeping next to me. Who knew Mr. Evil Magician could deal with children? A feminine voice I recognized came from behind me. Not wishing to wake anyone up, I created some pillows through chaos magic and laid their head on them, then turned to the voice that had called me. Rogue. Taking a step towards her, I pointed to the garden, hinting for her not to make too much noise. She simply nodded and followed closely behind. Once we were outside, she came for a hug, which made my mind go into overdrive. Should I let her? Is this maybe some type of way to ambush me and take me down? Does she want to copy my power? The therapist skill also works on myself because it screamed to just let her hug me and release some of the steam I had built up until that point, without realizing. The touch came with the usual sensation of having my HP drained, but at this point, the damage was so minuscule, unless she uses all of her focus, that it was easily countered by my HP regen. I am sorry. Those were the first words that came out of her mouth. I remained still for a good minute, letting her hug me, until I finally caved in and hugged her back with a small smile, her face burrowing into my chest, the tip of her ears turning red. If this were a movie, now she would look up with dreamy eyes and try to kiss me. She looks up with dreamy eyes and with trembling lips. Oh shit. She was to push forward with her inti tushon when I cock-blocked myself from banging the goth hottie. Yes, I know, the horror. Rogue. She stopped herself, her eyes looking at me with worry. Your sentiments are being confused by what just happened. It is not the best moment to try and start a relationship with someone. There are several studies that I am shut up by a pair of lips smashing themselves against mine, a pair of arms around my neck, and her legs hugging my waist. The kiss lasted longer than I thought possible. My ability to remain without oxygen was thanks to my powers, but hers was caused by the constant draining of HP from me. At one point, the normal kiss developed to a very mild makeout session, just kisses, though. I have fallen for the heat of the moment and lost all the paranoia I had until a moment before. Unfortunately this is not a porn comic, and we can't just continue to make out without no one disturbing us. *COFF. We both looked at the one who coughed, looking like a deer in front of a car's headlights. My embarrassment stopped only thanks to my powers. They didn't help Rogue, though, who was now looking red like a tomato. While seeing you both finally realize your love for each other, I don't think this would be the best time for it. There is much to discuss now that Xavier is gone, said Aurora while smiling, though what she said was very important. The smile on her face did little to help make her look serious. Rogue jumped on the ground looking embarrassed, but just as she was about to go inside, she came to me, gave me a quick kiss and signaled me to call her later. I remained there, still not believing what had happened. I had bagged the goth mommy. Does she see me as her boyfriend? Would I call myself that? Be too fast for her? What the fuck am I supposed to do? Aurora somehow perceived my anxiety through my mask of calmness and smiled even wider as she sighed. Ah, kids and their first love. I came back down to reality, the effect of one with nature, plus my powers, making me gain back full control over my emotions. So what now? Would you still be able to live here? It's not exactly yours. We had a place where we could build a base in the case something like this happened. Well, we expected more than the destruction of the mansion in a literal sense and not this type of destruction, but regardless, it will take a while. Maybe I can help. I just need the location and time, and I can be there to help. You would help us? After what we all made you go through. What I went through wasn't you, it was him. I know how it feels not to have a home anymore. Thank you, Adrian. Be sure that anyone in the mansion is ready to help whenever you need it. After what you did, you are seen as our savior. The savior of mutants? Has a nice ring to it. Through your action, you are being seen by several focal points of this universe in the same way, thus gaining you a title. New title, Mutant Savior. Mutant Savior. Effect, all mutants will have a base relationship of 50 neutral without even meeting you. It will be very hard to go lower than that, and very easy to go higher. What the fuck? Chapter 61. Before it could get any weirder, I left the mansion while writing Rogue a quick message that if she wished to see me, she just had to write me a message, and I'd be there in a second. Waiting for me on the other side were Yao, Wanda, and Agatha. I felt Mary's presence in our room, reading one of the books Yao had bought for her. Done. Wanda was the first to ask, both Agatha and Yao seemingly already knowing that it had gone as predicted. Yep, from now on, Xavier won't be able to hurt anyone again, and the total kills for this mission were 0. I call that a success. You have done a great job, Adrian, and it seems like I am not the only one who thinks so, Yao said while looking at the little phoenix resting between my hair. So you knew. I have long enough to have seen more than one Phoenix Force's mortal incarnations. She has the same signature as the others from the moment she gained her mutant powers. It didn't take long to connect the dots. The things I would do for one of her feathers, Agatha said while looking at Soul, the name I just thought of for the little phoenix. Thanks for the suggestion. Soul caught at her when she heard it and disappeared inside my body, flying around and playing with the others. I think that settles the matter on getting any material from my familiars, I said with a smile which made Agatha's eyes roll. Now, Adrian, before anything further, do you know about the bees and the flowers? Wanda looked at me seriously while saying that, holding both of my shoulders and looking me straight in the eyes. What are you talking about? You, when Dad and Mom love each other dash. You are not going to give me the sex speech after I had to live 5 months of my life in the same room with an underage hooker, are you? She remained silent, stunned by how calmly I had said what I had just said. What? It was a joke. Of course I knew about sex, and I can have sex without needing any form of protection thanks to my connection to blood mana. Unless I wish to have a child or unless I wish to contract an STD, I will always be fine no matter who I have sex with. If I wished I could make the most ill hooker in the world virgin again. Wanda passed a hand through her face and walked away, embarrassed she had even tried to be the mom of the situation and make such a speech to a 19-year-old. Well, that settles it then. Congratulations on having your revenge, and I think you deserve some rest. Mary is waiting for you. I simply nodded and started heading to my room, my mind wandering, thinking about all the things I had accomplished, about how far I had grown, how much I had learned, how many I have now on my side to help me. Do I deserve all of this? Have I done any good to anyone? Why me and not someone else? I pushed the door of my room, and inside I saw Mary reading a book. As soon as I opened the door, she pushed the book down to look at me, and a smile that could make the sun look dark was on her face. She ran towards me and jumped to hug me. The mere touch of her little hands against my body made me relax, my worries being drained from her just by hugging me, her smell making me feel as if I had been breathing poison until a few seconds ago and was only now smelling air. It didn't matter if I thought I deserved it or not, this is my life now, and I will do everything to protect it. Third POV. This must a fucking joke. Thought of an Asian woman while looking at what she had recently discovered being a mansion where very powerful mutants stayed and helped others. But such a powerful mansion, such powerful mutants, were all being destroyed by one singular human, though calling him human seems like an insult. Symbols emanating power even she could perceive came from all over his body, flying with enormous wings on his back, animals straight out of fantasy books following his every command, and seemingly bending reality to his every movement. This was a powerful mutant or magician. She wasn't sure what she was seeing and she should describe it at this point. The fight didn't even last 10 minutes, and following that, from what she had collected a quick telepathy check, was that the previous owner of the mansion, Xavier, wasn't as good as other people saw him. The magician, or Adrian, realized it and helped freeing everyone in the mansion. As she was about to try and discover his whereabouts, a hand touched her shoulder. We just dealt with a nasty telepath. Unless you wish to become like him, tell us what you want. Thought she was shorter than the Asian woman. Her psychic presence made anyone with powers similar to hers freeze in horror. But it wasn't the first time she had dealt with people stronger than her. Usually a bit of ass licking is more than enough to make people drop their guards. You need to make better mental walls, or no matter what plans you make, they won't be enough. Once again, her thoughts were interrupted by the redhead. Of course, she also is a telepath. Why can't some of them just be telekinesis users or empaths? The Asian woman thought while sighing and relaxing, already aware that she had no way of escaping. Would you believe me if I said I need help from the one who dealt with the nasty telepath? I would, since I can read your mind. Talking about mind, why don't you tell me why you are in a body that is not yours? Elizabeth Braddock. Chapter 62. My life went back to a steady crawl. I continued growing and training, sure, but with the absence of revenge filling my mind and driving me to push myself more than anyone else, I decided to take some days to train some of the less combat-focused skills and even try to complete both of my classes. During some experiments, I discovered that a druid doesn't necessarily need to save nature through magic. Even using things like items to help is considered okay, so thanks to Artificer class, I made these. Bombs to instant regrowth, rare. Durability, 1/1. Effect, when activated through a mana switch, after 10 seconds have passed, a harmless explosion of pure nature mana will fill an area of 100 kilometers, causing all dead plants to return to their glory, and also gain enough durability to become indestructible to the normal means of destruction. Only if nature deems it necessary and worthy will it let someone cut the tree/plant/bush down. You have produced 68 bombs for instant regrowth. Arcane Tinkering LV.19 equals 24. Artificer 14 equals 21. Placing them all around the world didn't take long, thanks to my portals, a quick search on the areas of the world with the most damage done to nature by humanity, a portal to the location where nature felt the most injured, and then repeating until all 68 bombs were placed. There are occasions where I had to deal with the wildlife protecting such areas, though, deal isn't the right word. The moment they saw they became friendly, wolves became cute puppies, lions turned into cats seeking attentions, snakes did their best feel my worth and hug my body, every single animal I met loved me, they felt my connection with nature and they deemed me part of it, part of the same things that created them. I even learned a new spell through a bit of trial and error. Animal Speech LV.max, evolvable. Effect, you can use a mix of nature and blood mana to change the structure of your vocal cords and hearing apparatus to understand animals and make them understand whatever you say. Cost, 100 MP/min. And just like I had predicted, wolves are either very honorable or just hunters wishing to hunt, lions are just cats too big for their good, snakes are either assholes or some of the kindest animals, squirrels can go fuck themselves. Every time I tried talking to them they threw nuts at me, and I seriously thought about exterminating dolphins from the face of earth. They are some sick fucks even without needing to talk to them. Anyway, back to saving nature across all, not really, but close enough, the world. I activated the mana switch on all the bombs at the same time, and while flying all over the world, I waited for them to activate. 10. I just stood there watching, nature pulsating with happiness at the idea of finally gaining back something it had given to help humanity over millions of years. 9. Even my connection to the world's heart seemed to deem the moment as something to be happy for. The growth, or in some cases, regrowth, could help in the spreading of more wildlife across the world, which means more life, which means more blood. 8. Is it happening? The voice of Yao asked me from my side. Very soon? I didn't question how he knew, he always does, and instead looked at him create a platform where Wanda, Agatha, and Mary all sat down while looking around. Yao floated to my side and looked around, though his face was calm, his eyes were filled with anticipation. 7. Can you explain what is happening now? You just had us come with you, no questions asked. Wanda spoke first, Mary instead waved at me with a smile, and I waved back at her. 6. The view is quite nice, but I have to side with Wanda in this case. What are we doing here? 5. Adrian is what can be considered an artificer, someone able to make magical items. Some of the things you see Mary wear were made by him. The two looked at Mary in surprise, seemingly only now realizing that Mary was wearing magical items to protect her from the cold and any type of environment in general. 4. But aside from that, he also is a druid, someone whose first mission is to help nature survive and, in some cases, regrow from the ashes. 3. And came Agatha, her patience running thin on the inability of Yao to make things short. 2. And he has created some items that will cause the growth of several either dead or missing plants, and will have nature win back some of the areas taken by humanity. 1. How many? Wanda quickly asked. Yes. 0. They exploded, but I didn't feel it as a sound. What I felt was an explosion of mana, of vitality filling previously dead areas. Nature screamed in ecstasy. The more plants and trees grew, the happier it became, and the stronger I was becoming. I felt my connection to nature deepen, become unshakable, fuse completely with my being as my reverse of nature mana became purer and more refined, each level in my druid making my druid spells even stronger and easier to use. But my druid class wasn't the only one receiving tsunami of XP. What I was using were items that I had created, items that were changing the world in a very significant way, and an artificer's first job is to make items able to change the world, to reshape reality to his liking, to make him dreams come true. Trough magicla items. It wasn't a surprise, it was leveling too. The faces of the ones present next to me were a mix of awe and surprise as previously dead areas of the world began being covered in green, part of Africa, the Korean Peninsula, several zones of the USA, some areas in Japan, the coastlines of the Baltic states, and several other areas. Where there once was nothing, now there were filled with trees, plants, grass, and nature had won back those areas. The effectiveness was very clear. Druid LV.12 equals. Artificer LV.21 equals. Chapter 63. Thanks to your creations and your care for nature, part of Earth has been reconquered by nature. You have made new homes for previously homeless animals, helped near-extinction species regain their lost vitality, and boosted reproduction capabilities. Several elements that compose the world now recognize you as the representative of nature as a whole. Elementless, wind, blood, dimensional, and nature mana's perks have now boosted your control over their respective mana types. Several beings are now fully aware of your existence and your connection with the elements. Druid LV12 equals 100. Plus 176 int, WIS. Plus 88 VIT, per. Artificer LV21 equals 100. Plus 158 int, WIS, dex. Arcane Tinkering LV.24 equals 52. Statistics. STR, 61. VIT 60 equals 148. And, 55. Dex, 80 equals 238. Int, 114 equals 448. WIS, 114 equals 488. Per, 46 equals 134. Shot, 16. New perks for reaching, 50 in per, 100 in per, 100 in dex, 100 in VIT. Enhanced senses, 50 per. Effect, your 5 senses have been boosted beyond any normal human you will ever meet. They might be seen as a weakness in some cases, unless you learn how to control them. Copycat has evolved to information absorption, 100 per. Effect, boosts the rate at which you learn information from every type of source, visual, auditory, sensorial, and magical, making you even able to copy the level of skills of certain beings, under very specific cases. Enhanced reflexes, 100 dex. Effect, your reflexes and hand-eye coordination have been boosted beyond the levels of a normal human, making you even able to see a bullet when fired. Being able to react is another thing. Your vitality has reacted with the perk World's Hearth. The effect of the World's Heart has been boosted from X2 to X4, losing your heart won't instantly kill you. Please pick a new class or profession when possible. I exploded, not physically. My presence as a magical being reached peaks never before perceivable. Before I was a small light bulb in an endless sea of darkness, now I am a beacon of pure mana, a sun, something that would attract mana without even having to will for it to move. My physical structure changed visibly, my flesh became healthier, I became taller, the mana I produced that didn't fill my reserve was barely being contained by the item made by Yao, the power of my mana slowly eroding its durability. My eyes sparkled with dozen of colors as I understood everything and nothing at the same time. I saw the movement of mana, its creation and change, from water to wind, from wind to fire, from fire to earth, from earth to water, and all of the other elements being a compound of these basic elements, but above those stood elements that existed from even before the creation of earth. If you see it from my perspective, earth is nothing more than a pebble in an endless sea of energy. I felt the eyes of the ones present near me all pointed at me. Worry seeped into them as more and more mana got produced each second I stayed still, the level of one with nature going up without having to do anything. But those weren't the only eyes I perceived. I senses threats that stood beyond this world, this galaxy, this universe. Mana whispered to me, told me that I had to get stronger, to protect those I hold dear. Mana was helping me understand that the little power I currently hold is nothing more than a speck against these beings. And so I stopped, my mana presence diminished, my mana production lowered, letting Yao's ring last just a bit longer. The physical changes that had turned my body into more mana than flesh disappeared. As I landed on the platform where Mary stood, I smiled at seeing the worry on her face disappear, replaced by happiness. No matter what happens, I have a connection to Earth, and no matter how wonderful it would be to study the mana beyond Earth, I will remain here to protect her. My dad is super cool, Mary said while moving her little fists up and down. I smiled and proceeded to summon Zephyr to distract her while I talked with the other. The fact that Zephyr's natural form, before turning into its puppy form, was as big as a minivan, was a proof my progress is influencing all my summons too. I will have to see how they changed when I am back home. That went better than I expected, I said with a smile to Yao and the other two. Are you serious? Your power went ahead and gave you enough power to destroy a big city if you wished. Agatha countered with her disapproval. And that is a problem. Magic is not supposed to work like this. You are supposed to study, learn, practice, make packs to gain more power. You don't just make a few trees appear and gain that amount of power. It is like that for me. She seemed ready to continue ranting, but Yao stopped her with a stare, realizing that his was more out of jealousy than anything else. I am happy to see you didn't get drunk on power. That amount of magic coursing through someone's body might have made them arrogant. You seem worried instead. We both know why I am worried. I know what lies beyond, and I have been told of what could happen if not stopped. You should have told me. That is not something a child should worry about, Yao said with some sternness in his voice. We are talking about world-ending threats, threats that could very well end the life of my daughter. This is my problem. We will talk about them later. For now, you should go home and explore what new powers you gained. I wanted to say more, but I realized he was right. What I had done might attract a lot of attention, and I don't want Mary to get involved. This discourse isn't finished, I said while opening a portal for me and Mary, leaving the three behind. I had completed my revenge, now it was time for me to grow stronger, not for myself, but for others. Chapter 64. When we got back home, it was already quite late in the day. Chanting time zones wasn't so great for my already ruined ability to know the time, so, against her own will, I put Mary to bed, convincing her when I said I will make her favorite breakfast tomorrow, pancakes with chocolate. When she had finally rested her head on the bed and her eyes closed, I waited a few more minutes to be sure she was seriously sleeping. After that I left her with all of my familiars as insurance and flew up the sky. The last time I had chosen a class, a wave of nature mana had caused several trees in the area to grow a lot. I don't want for something to happen to Mary, so better be safe than sorry. Congratulations on completing your first class. However, be aware that such exploits are rare and sometimes countered by very specific closures in a class or profession, so there will be no more XP cheats. Be aware that the effect granted by previous classes or professions will remain. Check your previous picks on your status page. Calculation skills, stats, perks, and titles to produce the best possible classes. New possible classes, 21. New possible professions, 143. Classes, Brute Mage, Dimensional Mage, Blood Mage, Warrior, Thief. Professions, Mathematician, Physicist, Artist, Biologist, Scientist. The list was enormous, though some classes and professions seemed very clearly weaker than others. An example is Physicist and Scientist. Actually the latter isn't weaker, but more specialized. An example is Scientist and Physicist or Biologist. The two classes would bring a boost to a specific skill, while Scientist would have a broader, while weaker, effect on all skills that I would use to make scientific discoveries and things related to science in general. So either jack of all but master of none, or super focus on just one, but you know what they say, but better than a master of one. I scrolled through all the classes and professions, reading all the bonuses each class would bring to the table. Thanks to my boosted intelligence and speed reading nearing level 50, it took me just a few minutes to make my choice. What I needed was something to boost my power and make me stronger, while also something that would cover my glaring weakness, my physical stats, without having to do much. New class picked, True Mage LV 0/100, Mana Manipulation Perk and Chaos Eyes, +3 int and WIS XLV. While others focus on shaping elements, you focus on exploring beyond that, controlling the base of all elements, mana in its purest form. There is no limit to what it can do, but will you be able to explore it to its limits? Effect: all skills made through elementless mana will now fall under the True Mage section. All spells under the True Mage section will grow 50% faster, and cost 10% less mana. Your control over elementless mana has been boosted by 25%. New profession, Bodybuilder LV 0/100, physical form level above 40, +1 STR/End/Dex/VITXLV. You have pushed your physical strength above the average human. Train a bit more, and you might even become bald and kill things with a punch. Effect: the skill physical form will grow 100% faster, all physical stats will grow 25% faster, and you are now able to unlock skills previously locked by a profession wall. Just like I had suspected, by presence shifted. If before I was a beacon of nature, now I am nothing. I am a mass of endless mana that has no connection to anything in this universe. I exist beyond elements. I am what lays before elements and waits for them at the end of their journey. I, the beginning and end of all mages. Looking at my hand, I saw the filaments of blue mana move between my fingers like silk, without even having to control it. Mana was already moving towards my body, ready to be controlled and willing to listen to all of my orders. I felt a connection to it I had never felt before. My mana manipulation was working overtime to keep up with my new class, and with my capabilities, my previously incredible control over mana had now gone beyond what anyone had ever achieved, and I will prove it to everyone and everything that is watching me. No matter what is waiting for me, I will be there. No matter if I am weaker or stronger, I will be there, waiting for their arrival. Being beyond mortal compares ions laid beyond this small planet, but I am no mortal anymore. I am something far scarier. I am a mage. The mana that until that moment had collected itself on my palms began taking form, shaping itself under my will as it compressed and compressed beyond anything I had ever done before. My mind pushed with all its strength to consolidate the mana in the air. The more I pushed, the more the mana began taking shape. I collected more and more mana, both from my reserve and from the one in the air waiting to be used by me. Mana was something not everyone could see or even perceive. Only some people are even able to realize that something was going on through very specific types of powers or trainings, but if normal people were to look at me, they would realize something was going on. They would see a blue gas surrounding my mana and compressing on my palm. Drops of blue liquid began forming above my palm as more of the blue gas compressed, a liquid resembling car oil in viscosity. No smell coming from it, but a pure sense of power filled everyone who even dared to look at the liquid floating above my palm. But I didn't stop there, aware that I could push it even further. The gas disappeared, leaving behind only the liquid, a quantity that would barely fill a glass, had already cost me over half of my mana, but something so pure had never been created before, so it was obvious that the mana required would be something beyond comprehension. Sweat began pouring from my forehead as my stamina began lowering because of the mental strain I was putting myself under, my mind constantly calculating the exact amount of mana needed to be pushed for each singular second so to not ruin all of my work, while also making sure to make the mana remain in its liquid state, while also making sure to continue compressing it. I am doing the job of 3 people just by myself. And then it finally happened. The liquid began turning solid, small crystal shaped like a snowflake began appearing inside the liquid, and before I knew it, what lay in my hand was a minuscule block of pure, solid mana, its shape reminding that even after I stopped compressing it, I had created matter from nothing. You have accomplished an impossible feat. Chapter 65. You have accomplished an impossible feat. You have changed the physical state of mana, an ethereal and esoteric element of the universe, without the use of any spell matrix or incantation. Your control over mana is rewarded. Mana manipulation evolved into absolute mana existence. Absolute mana existence. You have pushed what was normally thought of as the peak of mana control into a level that only beings beyond human comprehension could do, showing the world that perfection doesn't exist, only growth determines the victor and the loser. Effect: your control over elementless mana is absolute. All spells that require the use of elementless mana now cost 50% less and will be cast 75% faster. When seeing a spell for the first time, you have the chance to gain an idea of how to recreate it by using elementless mana. True Mage LV 0 = 17, plus 51 int and WIS. Int 448 = 499. WIS 448 = 499. The little cube that had until that point been floating in my hand started compressing even more. Previously he was constantly shaking and almost disbeing, but as soon as my perk evolved I had absolute control over it, shaping it however I wished it to, only if I the mana to do so of course, but with the new reduction to my spells I have more than enough mana to keep it up. Touching the cube, it had a perfectly smooth surface, no imperfection in any of its sides, but even though from an outside point of view the cube seemed perfect, as the perk had said, one must aspire for growth, not perfection. Pouring even more mana the cube began changing shape, becoming thinner and longer, or thicker and shorter. It turned into a sword, a bow, an axe, a doll, a mini figurine of me. I even tried to make it move but I found that even harder than it was to compress the mana into this. Due to the spell not being used, the current perks, stats, and control over mana, the spell elemental weapon LV.max has evolved to Mana Construct LV.1/10. Mana Construct LV.1/10. Effect, made of purely compressed mana turned solid, you can make inanimate objects of very simple design and function. The higher the level of this spell, the more intricate the objects you can create, even reaching the level where you can make them move on their own will. Cost, 1000 MP/S equals 500 MP/S after reduction. Dash. Looks like it will take a while before I can make mana constructs that can make items for me, bummer. Dispersing the mana I had collected, I flew back home, satisfaction clear on my face as I saw Yao waiting for me in the middle of the garden of Camartage. Has your endeavor been successful? I felt quite a quantity of mana all concentrated in one place and thought it might have been you. I was still a bit sour about the secrets he had held from me, but a mistake out of worry was one of the mistakes I could forgive, and considering how he still is one of the few human beings I consider as family, I sighed and spoke to him without any annoyance. My control over mana has progressed quite a bit. See for yourself. The moment he saw my creation made of pure elementless mana, his eyes bugled open, something I had seen him do not a lot of times, but whenever he did it meant something was seriously fucked, or very rare. You have reached the planes of the divine, my dear student. What? Now that I didn't expect. The reason why most sorcerers of even superpowers can cause damage through what is usually described as pure energy based are not actually only that, they also are composed of matter that makes them able to interact with the outer world, mana, as you call it. Doesn't have such a factor. Mana is a purely ethereal and esoterical universal force that no one, before you, was ever able to manipulate, and while your ability to manipulate it isn't exactly unexplainable, what you are doing shouldn't be possible. All of your spells based purely and elementless man have never directly interacted with this world. What about my bullets? Those create a wind force through their spinning and speed, that causes the damage, not the bullet itself. So what does this imply? That, purely from a skill-based point of view and not based on strength, you are currently the most skilled wizard in this universe, just a step away from being seen by this universe as the god of mana. Dash. New title, Demigod of Mana. Demigod of Mana. Effect, all of your elementless spells cause 25% more damage. Beings that control, or are even remotely related to magic, will all perceive your presence as something beyond and will either feel an instinctual sense of anger or respect. Dash. Yao's body shifted for a second, as if he was about to go on his knees, but he seemingly stopped himself when he realized it. What happened? What have your powers done? I am officially being recognized by this universe as the demigod of mana. Yao remained still for a second as a chair appeared out of nowhere, and he sat on it while massaging his forehead, his expression being a mix of worry and pride as he remained with his eyes closed. Seriously, Adrian, your powers are starting to sound more and more without limits. Being granted such a title usually happens when someone is either born from a godly being or can perform a ritual with the faith from enough people. You just got it. A human gained the title of a demigod in seconds. Technically not a human. Right, your power was even able to genetically mutate you into a being of mana and matter. How could I forget? At that point, Yao just sighed and stopped rubbing his forehead, realizing that no matter how much he tried to understand my powers, no one will ever be able to understand them. Chapter 66. Third POV. And that is the report on the situation involving Xavier's mansion and the mutant Adrian Riviera. The call ended, but the tension in the room remained. The faces of the few people present was anything but relaxed. What they had heard had described Adrian as an unstoppable force of nature able to control elements and rewrite reality to his liking. Gone was the kid who had to run away while throwing pizza. We should have paid more attention to Xavier. He always made my skin crawl. The first to speak was Natasha. We couldn't do anything. Proving mind control isn't easy, even more so when the one doing it is as skilled as he was. We would have had to bring in the big guys to deal with him, and we wouldn't have been sure of resolving the situation as fast as he did, Fury said while massaging his temples. But now what? The mutants of the mansion are about to leave the area and go who knows where. Clint Barton, better known as Hawkeye, spoke for the first time since he had entered the room, his mind still trying to understand how a child had gotten this strong in a few months. We will send some of ours to try and help them while also getting their future location. Most likely it won't work, they are still on edge because of Xavier, and outside help might seem like a threat to them. And about the other important thing? Natasha asked Fury, making his migraine even more present. We might have to contact Strange to see if we can speak with Adrian. I am sure at this point, he might be able to stand up to Carol, and even if he can't, he has the powers to easily escape to a safe area and train until he can. He is more useful as a friend than a foe. And if he doesn't want to be friends, from the little we saw of him, he isn't stupid. He is at least smart enough to understand who to fight, and who not to, so I think we will at least listen to him. Until then, keep your ears and eyes open. Natasha and Clint nodded and left the room, leaving Fury alone. Motherfucker, he said while sighing. Third POV. So this is not your body, and someone forced you into it? Jean asked the barely clothed woman she had caught snooping around the mansion. For the 1000th time, yes, I came here because I thought Xavier might have helped since it's a mind-related issue. I had no idea he was that much of a creep. Elizabeth, or Psylocke, told Jean, exasperated by the fact she had been forced to tell the story numerous times every time they asked. She had been here for days at this point. I can understand that. What makes me tick is why you came inside the mansion to snoop around. I wanted to understand who the guy was that freed you from Xavier. What for? Because I know where my body is, but a slimy fucker is keeping it safe, and unless I wish for my death to come sooner than planned, then I will keep away from him. But why, Adrian? He already has a lot on his plate. That came from Rogue, who seemed kind of jealous at the idea of having Adrian meet a woman who wears almost no clothes and with enough curves to be called a ball. He dealt with all of you by himself. I don't have to explain why him. The right question would be why not him? I have a way to contact him after all. Are you saying we will call him for you? Please. Elizabeth forced a smile, trying to make herself look as desperate as possible, which wasn't that far from the truth. We can't force him to do things he doesn't want to do. A chance is better than nothing. I just want my body back. We will see what he says. Both Rogue and Jean left the room and walked to another room with screens displaying the room where Elizabeth was kept, inside of which a very well-known magician was standing. So, what do you think? Might be worth considering. First POV. Are you sure? Rogue asked me, as she lied. No, thought she had been conditioned to think this is the truth, but it is unlikely, or I would have noticed. Then this means she is just a bystander that found herself in a bad situation. I think I can relate to that. What is the name of the body? Quanon. She just knows the name, nothing else. We tried doing some research on her but discovered very little. It seems like she was a ghost before this incident. Something worth discussing once she gets her body back. So you will help her. New quest. Time to ruin the show. Objective 1. Get the body of Elizabeth Braddock back to her owner. Objective 2. Get the body of Quanon back to her owner. Bonus objective. Deal with the mastermind behind the body switch. Bonus objective. Reward. Accept. Yes/no. I don't see why not. Body switch was always my most hated porn category, only second to NTR. What? Jean asked me. Nothing, don't let me ruin your pure mind. She gets it though. Rogue coughed when I pointed at her and her red face. Smiling, I opened a portal to the room where Elizabeth is and created a chair with chaos magic for me to sit. Closing the portal, I sit on it and look at Elizabeth, my head resting on my palm as I smile. Well then, what do I get if I help? My eternal gratitude, she said after recovering from the shock of my arrival and my display of magical skills. Too little and wouldn't last very long. I don't know what you want, so just say it. You will own me, no matter when, what, or why, you will answer that debt. I won't have sex with you. Woman, please, you are hot, but I am more into chicks that don't show off their assets to distract villains. Fine. Now, how about you tell me who this slimy fucker is? His name is Mojo. Chapter 67. Floating above the ground while mediating, I continue practicing, trying to copy all the spells I could form the hundreds of books there were floating in the air, pages flipping every second. Thanks to the boost to my intelligence, the effect of speed reading had gotten to the point where I could read a whole page in just a second. Switching focus between different books also didn't matter. Any information I received that was about magic got instantly stored, digested, and converted into actual knowledge thanks to my innate potential with magic. The more mana I used, the more it seemed willing to be used for it. The mere fact I was even using it was more than anything it could wish for. A usually emotionless and unalienable force of the universe had suddenly got alive when near me, my mere existence already breaking the laws of this universe, and this wasn't the first time. My sudden research was sparked by the talk I had with the woman named Psylocke, and her description of Mojo. Though she had never met him, she has seen dreams of him, from her body that was with him. That was the reason why she knew what he looked like, and why she knew how slippery he was. Mages, scientists, mutants, genetically modified humans, aliens, you name it, he was able to collect all these beings through his cunning. He was just like a eel, a very fat and green eel, his mind constantly working to produce a better piece of media for his planet, making his slaves fight against each other, thousands upon thousands of people dead because he wanted to make people laugh. When she explained to me I was able to control myself only thanks to Gamer's mind, my wish to teleport there and wipe the planet hadn't left my mind. But regardless, what I need right now are containment spells, things I can use to not necessarily kill instantly, and things that cost less and are more widespread than my chaos or dimensional magic, spells used by normal sorceresses that I can convert to only use true mana. And so I learned, and learned, and learned. By the time all the books I had taken were fully read the night of the day after had fall, my body was still full of energy though. A combination of meditation and use of blood mana to cause my body to go under physical strain had made my body better than it was before, a proof that were the levels I had gained in my class. Bodybuilder LV1 equals 9, plus 8 str/end/dex/vit. STR, 61 equals 69. VIT 148 equals 156. And, 55 equals 63. Dex, 238 equals 246. Physical form LV46 equals 51. My body was growing, not at the pace that my mind was, but I had already surpassed what could be considered a normal human. My vitality alone could make me live for centuries, that is if we don't take into consideration how my body doesn't deteriorate, my cells constantly regenerating and never dying thanks to mana. I already am theoretically immortal. I can't die by illness or by time. If I wish I could hide myself in cave and train there for thousands of years and still look like a 20-year-old. But this is not a Xavier story, and I have important things to do. In the end, I learned several new spells, all under the true mage category, but no level up unfortunately. I just need a point to reach 500 in both WIS and int, but I don't feel like using my point because I know I am not that far away. Are you finished? I heard a voice I know very well ask me. Smiling, I deactivate the spell that kept me above the air and use one of my newest spells, telekinesis, to push the books back to where they belong through several small portals I opened and then closed. Telekinesis LV.1/10. One of the most basic uses of elementless mana, but still one with the most potential based on the user. From moving the atoms of an apple to shifting a planet's orbit, you set the limit on this spell. Mana cost, based on precision or weight, and the number of things you are lifting. Limit, your current weight limit is set on, lifting capability given by STRX spell LV, and your maximum precision is given by, finesse is given by Dex X spell LV. The maximum number of things you can lift at the same time is set by, int/10 spell level. Looking to the person that had called me out, I see rouge in all her beauty, my int and dex letting me appreciate all of her beauty, the shape of her face, the way her smile bends to create a moon, her black eyes looking like a piece of obsidian, and don't let me start on the control I had to place myself under to not just look under her clothes trough my mana perception. You are as beautiful as always, I told her with a smile. You are so corny, she said while covering her laugh with her hand. Well, cough, what did you ask? Sigh, I asked if you had finished doing, what were you doing? Learning spells that I could use to incapacitate people without killing them while also training my body by destroying and then healing all of my muscles. And you have been doing from the moment you left the mansion a month ago? Adrian, are you sure you are okay? She places a hand on my chest while looking into my eyes. Nah, I was going easy today. You should have seen me when I didn't sleep for a week and remained in the library all day. Adrian. I looked at her, and I mean at her. Her worry was clearly visible. No skill of augmented stat needed to see it. She is worried about me, and I can't have that. Hugging her, I start kissing her, both of our bodies melting because of the sensation. A portal opened behind us, and I walked through while lifting her just a little. When she noticed, she broke the kiss and looked around. Where are we? Paris, more specifically, we are on the upper part of Notre Dame. The room we were in was previously destroyed, even before the incident with the thing, but after my use of nature magic, it had been reconstructed to a near-perfect state. And what room is it? Well, it's an observatory, from which you can see all of Paris. This is incredible. Did you do this? How do you know? I can feel your energy seeping from the walls. I am not going to question that, and instead, enjoy the moment. Because soon I am going to war against a planet. Chapter 68. When going to war, there is one thing you need more than anything else, more than power, more than intelligence, more than the charm to lead people to battle. You need the will to survive, to do anything in your power to continue fighting and always go back up. So when I created anti-zombie bombs by infusing them with blood mana and enough holy-based materials to make a church, I knew what I supposed to. I knew how many lives I was about to sacrifice. I had held back from killing in that dimension since I was aware I could make a cure, but I don't have time now, I have to do it. A quick walk from my old house brought me to the middle of Times Square, a place I hadn't seen in years, when it had been just a few months. Time is a funny concept. If it had been years, it would have felt like days, but when it has been just a few days, it feels like years. Snapping myself out of my hesitation, I warped the dimension around me to hide me from cameras, humans' eyes, and microphones and went into Earth 2149. The moment my body shifted dimension, I was already aware I was surrounded by hundreds of zombies of different sizes, powers, and backgrounds, but all with one thing in common: they are undead, and I am about to return them to where they belong. The world's heart of this dimension screamed when it felt my presence once again, happy to feel I was still alive, and when it perceived the item I had made with its mana, it seemed relaxed. Maybe being aware that your children, the humans you spent a long time to nurture only to be snatched by undeath, are about to come back to you has that effect. I activated the bomb before any zombie could even perceive my presence, and then went back to my dimension in Times Square. I walked through the streets, ordered a slice of pizza, okay, more than one, sue me, laughed at the performers in the streets, the YouTubers making their video, people making silly videos for their own family. The difference between this Earth and the one I had just visited flashed in my vision. The people making videos dead with their phones in hand, the children's being walked trough by their parents eaten by the ones they called mom and dad, the silly YouTubers laughing at their jokes dead because of their greed by TRYNG to record zombies when they first appeared. We were luckier than we thought, and we didn't even know by how much. Being free, no pain, no grief, no vengeance needed. We didn't have to fight a war, to constantly think of ways to survive the following day or ways to become stronger. They just lived, happy with what they had, unaware of what I knew. I stopped for a second, and looked at the sky, my perception of mana pushing my vision beyond what was humanly possible. I stared at the emptiness of space and the beings threatening my planet eons away from us, but their mere existence was already causing chaos and more damage on our little planet than I'd like. My fist tightened, my jaw clenched, my mana ready to explode and overwhelm everyone around us. But then I stopped myself and instead caught the balloon of a little girl who had let it go by accident. "Thank you, mister," she said with a smile, the mother of the girl right behind her and mouthing a thank you to me. Before I could answer, the notification came. You have killed 5,263 zombies. For further specifics on the zombie, click here. Due to the power difference, some rewards have been lowered. You have dealt with multiple enemies in one attack. XP has been boosted x 1.15. Plus 495,312 XP. Plus $134,051. Plus 679 zombie teeth. Plus 21 skill books and spell books. Plus 7 random loot boxes. Level up x 18. LV 18 equals LV 36. SP 43 equals 133. PP 1 equals 5. Arcane Tinkering LV 52 equals 59. You are welcome, be careful next time, I said with a smile to the little girl. The little girl nodded and left with her mother. I looked at their back for a good second. Flashes of my childhood with the matron clouded my vision, but then my resolve came back, and I moved forward. I had items to loot, skills to learn, and perk points to be spent. My little stroll was interrupted by the appearance of Spider-Man. He was being tailed by someone, though Desra being the stalker as something would have been much better. He felt alien to this dimension. His body's blood didn't belong to a human, and his magical presence wasn't the one of a normal human. Spider Adventure I. Spider-Man discovered a secret hidden behind his powers. Help him discover more secrets without having to nearly die every single time. Objective: defeat Morlun before he can finish his hunt. Reward: perk, follow-up quest. Accept. Yes/no. We are talking about Spider-Man here, about Peter Parker. He defended me against Scott when he tried insulting me. He is on my good side, and if there is a thing I know about Peter Parker, it is that he is very unlucky. How about I become his fairy godmother for today? Peter Parker POV. This day, no scratch that, this week has been a nightmare. I am tired, hurt, bleeding from places I didn't know could bleed, and losing and regaining consciousness every few minutes. I haven't slept in days. I can't rest though. If I stop he will cause more chaos, more damage, more deaths. I can't stop. I was about to take another swing, but I miscalculated my remaining web fluid and instead started falling. I was about to try and do something, to try and save myself, but then my mind stopped me, my eyes closing as a sensation of relaxation filled all of my body. Maybe if I die and he gets what he wants, he will stop. That little stray thought had made my whole body lose control. It made me relax and face my falling doom with no worry, sacrificing myself for others. It wasn't the first time I did it, but this might be my last time. Just as I was about to crash against the ground, my body got stopped by something shaped like a pillow. When I opened my eyes, a pillow made purely of wind had broken my fall. "Hey Spider-Man, want a little hand?" When I looked towards where the voice came from, I saw Leshy, Adrian, who is here, for me. Tears started forming in my eyes, which he could see since most of my suit and mask were already torn apart. "Please. I don't need anything else." Chapter 69. I felt it in my soul before my body even reacted. What came out of Spider-Man, out of Peter Parker's mana, was a pure mix of desperation and selflessness. If I hadn't saved him, he was more than ready to kill himself if it meant saving as many people as he possibly could. Whenever I looked at him, I saw a hero, someone who, no matter the injuries, the broken bones, the problems filling his life, would always get back up, no matter what. And when you have someone like me, connected to this world in ways beyond mortal comprehension, and someone like him, a beacon of pure hope and heroism, you might have influenced. My eyes snapped towards the perpetrator of his torture, the one who was causing his previously pure white soul to diminish in light, the one who was making my anger spike in volume and intensity. He landed with a grace beyond human, his movements a mix of skill and pure genetic perfection. He moved like with an annoying grace. "Leave before I kill you." He didn't get to finish his sentence. What was once a vampire-looking guy from the 90th century was now a torso missing all of its limbs, floating in the air thanks to my telekinesis. His limbs were floating in the air in front of me, the blood coming out of them stopped in the air as it got collected into several vials enchanted to contain much more than one would think, my magical senses screaming with the amount of life coming from it. Once all the blood was sucked out of the limbs, husks remained, a shadow of their previous glory. Just as Morlun was about to shout out in anger and pain, the realization that I had taken his limbs only now hit his brain. I placed them back where they should be using chaos magic, but no blood or muscles were in them, only bones. Seeing his body crumble in itself because of the little strength his body had was comical. He tried. I even felt some of the damage I caused to him being repaired by healing factor coming from his blood, but it would be idiotic to let an enemy heal and kill you. "Well, it was nice meeting you. Killing him would have been too easy, so, after removing the part of his brain that would control his motory functions, and making it so it could never heal, I used almost all of my remaining mana to push his body up towards the sky, breaking trough several atmosphere in seconds and sending him towards the general direction of the sun. The NLY reason why the sound barrier wasn't broken and destroyed several of the nearby eardrums was because I controlled the wind of the area to prevent that. Nodding, I turned towards Spider-Man. I used both rejuvenation and cloth repair to return to top shape. Slowly raising from the ground, Spider-Man looked at me warily. Actually most of the people that had surrounded us were. I could feel the cameras pointed at me, but they didn't matter. I had every part of my bodily structure changed thanks to my blood mana, or covered by items and wood armor. Spider Adventure I completed. Reward, Spider Friend Perk, Spider Adventure 2 is now eligible for acquisition. Wait for something to happen. Spider Friend. Effect, all versions of Spider-Man will feel a connection to you, your presence bringing a sense of friendliness. You have reached the rank of Friend, 50/100, with one of the key characters of this universe, Peter Parker. Your presence is not going unnoticed, someone is thankful for protecting her web. Your connection with nature strengthens. I ignored it for now and looked at Peter. You killed him. Killing is a strong word. I sent him towards a place where he won't ever be able to hurt anyone else. If his regeneration is strong enough, then he will continue living forever in the vastness of space. Somehow that feels worse. His body froze, but then relaxed. He seemed angered that I had doomed someone to their doom, but he also felt happy that a danger to not only him but to whoever knew him had been dealt with, no matter how. If what I think is correct, more will come, and you will be in danger again, so either seek help or use this when necessary, I said while giving him a necklace. Break, and I will know you are in danger. I will also become aware of your position. Thank you for everything. Don't sweat it, you would have done the same, I know it. Looking around, I saw several cameras still filming us, so now feeling a bit more pressure because of the eyes pointed at us, I was about to open a portal to move away, when once again I saw the balloon of the little girl from before floating in the air. Sighing, I control the wind to bring the balloon back towards me. Once I had it in my hand, I walked straight to the little girl who was looking at me with sparkles in her eyes. You are big. And you are small. I will grow. Looks like you win this round, here is a reward, I said while going to my knees to reach her level and give her the balloon. Seeing it, she smiled, hugged me and ran to her mother, who had remained stunned for the whole exchange. Next time, buy her a doll, balloons are too annoying, my daughter hates them too. At the mention of a daughter, she visibly relaxed, almost everyone did, the look didn't help at the start, nor did my size and voice, but being a parent made me a good person. I heard some helicopters coming before everyone else did, and not wanting to deal with that, I waved the little girl by and teleported away, happy with my daily dose of heroism. Chapter 70. Third POV. Here are some of the images captured by the civilians that got involved in the fight between the vigilante Spider-Man and a villain whose name remains unknown. He was seen fighting such villain for more than 3 days until a previously seen vigilante known as Leshy, previously only seen in Paris single-handedly reconstructing Notre Dame and helping the Fantastic Four fighting an unknown group, arrived and saved Spider-Man. A reporter said, behind her, the scene where the fight happened could be seen. Police and other types of government-affiliated organizations were closing the area and looking around for who knows what. He is a menace. I am sure that the guy fighting Spider-Man was just seeking revenge for something Spider-Man did, and this Leshy, for what we know, might be the one that destroyed Notre Dame. And what about what he did to the guy fighting Spider-Man? He sent him to space, an unknown and unauthorized being, who killed someone. People, open your eyes. A man with a pair of mustaches shouted at the camera, his veins almost popping because of how loud he was shouting. He got me my balloon, he is a hero. A little girl said after jumping in front of the camera of the first reporter. What do I think of him? He looked scary, very scary. He was taller than any man I ever saw, bigger than any man I ever saw, and just looked ready to kill whoever he wanted. But then he talked, he jokes around with my daughter, got her balloon, but what shook me to my core is that he is a father. Honestly, I don't think he is evil, a bit drastic, but no, I don't see him as a menace. The mother of the little girl said after being questioned about what he thinks of Leshy. More and more journalists began speaking about Leshy, some painting him as a hero, others as an unknown being forcing his will on others, some showed him giving the little girl the balloon, others showed him sending Morlun to the sky. A hero or villain, who knew who spoke the truth and who didn't? The few people who knew the truth had no interest in speaking, and for Leshy, that didn't matter. First POV. New title, Book Maniac. Skills and spells gained through books will start at a higher level than normal, based on your int/100, current effect, +4. You are on the brink of reaching 500 on 2 of your stats. This is a point of no return. The moment your stats break this wall, your being will change in unknown ways. The difference between 499 and 500 is even greater than 1 and 499. Breaking such a wall with your willpower will have unknown rewards. New skills, Decorum LV5, Cartography LV5, Poetry LV5, Climbing LV5, Anatomy LV5, Surgery LV5, Astrology LV5, ASL LV5, Survival LV5, Zoology LV5, Massages LV5. New production skills, Blacksmithing LV5, Sewing LV5, Pottery LV5, fishing LV5, mining LV5, gardening LV5. Cooking, engineering, painting, and drawing have been turned into production skills. Speed reading LV41 equals 87. 1 with mana LV50 equals 61. Physical form LV51 equals 55. Yoga LV11 equals 21. Running LV22 equals 31. Telekinesis LV1/10 equals LV2/10. Plus 10 per. Plus 4 cha. Bodybuilder LV9 equals 16. Plus 7 STR, VIT, and Dex. Several int skills are on the brink of reaching max level. New skill, Parallel Thoughts LV1. A special skill, created only for the most developed minds, who find focusing only on one task too boring. Effect, adds, 1 plus, SKLV/10, minds that can be activated or deactivated to use whenever wished. Dash. I had received that notification as soon as I had finished reading my 1000th book. I had received the new title, and though my mind was already pushing the limits of what could be done by just one brain by reading dozens of books every few minutes, my body didn't stop, pushing itself more and more, doing exercises to grow beyond. Comparing my body to my mind was like the day and night. On one side we had something capable of channeling reality on a whim, on the other side we just have a stronger than normal body, that's it. But it can grow, it will grow, and I will make it grow. I am a being that has no limit to its growth. I can go beyond what is possible to geniuses, monsters able to comprehend things in seconds. Though I am not on their level, I will be. Deciding to finish with this training session, I push my body up from the calisthenic pose I had kept for more than 3 hours and push all the books I had kept in the air with telekinesis back to the libraries I had stolen. Cough temporarily taken without asking. From. I felt the tear in my muscles close as the effect given by each point in my physical stats started to take effect to change the physical structure of my body. Though my body was mostly mana, I had a physical part, and even that part was changing beyond a simple human. Muscles compressing against each other to give a lean but still muscular build, my joints and some muscles becoming stretchier to make me more flexible and nimbler, the connection between my nerves and muscles becoming denser to help my reflexes. The amount of air I took with each breath increased, essaying with each point in endurance. My physical defense had grown to a point where normal knives couldn't even cut my skin and only cause a -1 HP. The only reason why I wasn't destroying the ground every time I took a step was thanks to my body being part mana and me constantly using telekinesis on my body to lift it just a millimeter above the ground, as a form of training and to prevent possible damages. At this point, I was more monster than human, but I know that the moment my int and WIS reach 500, something will change, something very important in my will shift, and I am just a step away from it, but I need more, much more. As my new mind continued cataloging the information I had absorbed from the books, my mind got distracted by someone arriving inside the room. I already knew who it was from the moment she had gotten out of bed, my little girl, the first connection I had ever gained to this world, and one of the reasons why I continued protecting the earth. And she is crying. Dash. Chapter 71. In the front I was a normal dad worried for his daughter and trying to understand what had made her cry, worried but still reasonably calm. On the inside an inferno of anger had started, my mana being forced still not to scare her, my muscles forced on a relaxed state or they would have crushed the ground I walked. The things I touched, just this little display of self-control, were making my acting skills grow way faster than ever before. "Dad, Daddy, they are talking bad about you," the little girl said, wiping away her tears with her hands. Hearing what she said, the inferno that was about to explode and cover the grounds in deaths calmed down by a notch. She was not because of something about her, she was sad for me. That is so sweet. I am quite sure I might develop diabetes. Mary, you don't have to worry, I don't care what they say. The only reported who will ever matter to me are the one who comments on how good my food is, I said while hugging her and caressing the back of her head. She stayed silent for a good minute just appreciating the hug, but then she pushed away from me and looked me in the eyes, looking like a puppy. Really? Am I that important? Sweetie, you are the most important thing in this and the next universe. You show me the good of this world. You brighten up even my darkest days. You make even the worst possible things sound like one of the best adventures of my life. I love you, Mary, and that is enough for me. She stared at me and then started giggling, her tears already gone from her face and replaced with a smile. You are stupid. Yeah, I am the stupidest dad in this world, don't ever forget it. I won't, but then I am the stupidest daughter. No, you are not. You are the cutest daughter that will ever exist. Yes, 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 I am the cutest, she said while jumping up and down with excitement. Summoning Obsidian and Zephyr, I made them play with her while I sat on a nearby chair and took out my phone. I saw several articles about what had happened with Spider-Man, some insulting me, others insulting him, sometimes both of us, and rarely complicating him, me, or both of us for what we had done. But only one of these articles caught my attention. We have discovered from our sources that the hero known as Leshy is a mutant, so don't believe him, readers. We have seen how mutants interact with humans. He is just a liar, and this might have just been a way to make people believe he is a good guy. He might not even be a dad, and even if he was, nothing good could come out from such a being. The article continued, at the start just insulting me because I am a mutant, but then he just went on and started insulting mutants as a community, and once I saw this type of articles others popped, all with the same message and with the same way of saying it, starting with me and then going for the mutants in general. It felt strange how they were all basically the same articles but no one seemed to notice, and though 1 or 2 articles might not have made too much damage, the sheer number of them had already reached a total number of readers higher than even the most popular ones. This smells fishy, and Mary didn't even cook anything. Patting myself for the good joke, I warned Mary the first would be gone for a while and opened a portal. Once I had gone through it, I found myself on an island, and the sound of people moving things and building came from all over it. What surprised me was how hard they tried to build around the trees and trying to not destroy the houses of any of the wildlife. Seeing them try so hard made me smile, so I decided to help them and made some of the trees move by inches to make it easier for them, made animals a new house so that it could be used as space for the building, shifted the place of plants to somewhere where they wouldn't be disturbed. By the time people noticed that the trees around them were moving, someone had started shouting, and just as they were getting ready for a fight, I showed up laughing. Very funny, Adrian. Next time, though, at least make yourself known before making trees move. Jean shouted at me, poking my mind to annoy me. That was not cool, dude, not cool at all, Bobby told me before going back to his workstation. So, why are you here? If you need more books, search somewhere else because at the moment you have read them all. Have you seen the articles about my action as Leshy? Some of them, I stopped reading when they started insulting you and Mary. There are articles where they insult Mary. She must have felt the anger seeping from me because she took a step back. No, not the point. Don't you have seen the articles where they somehow discovered I am a mutant? Ah, those, most of the time we just ignore them. What? That's it. Xavier said it wasn't worth it. Of course, he would say that. Anyway, doesn't it seem strange that all of them have the same message but with different words? It's as if they were written by the same person. That does sound strange, but we never tried investigating, and Xavier never wanted to boost our reputation. That is beyond moronic. Most people fear mutant because they are uncown. Maybe 1% of mutants are truly powerful as they fear, the rest isn't even remotely that powerful. I know you are right, but what could we ever do? I might have an idea, you will see if it works. Please don't kill yourself. I will try. Chapter 72. What I was about to do might lead to a lot of problems, but it would attract enough attention to me that it might make me able to change the view people have on mutants forever, and considering my rapid growth in power, my need for XP for my upcoming fight with Mojo, and my stupid need to help others to prevent their suffering, I had decided to become a hero, and not just one for fun that appears once every year or when big enemies appear. I will be a true hero. When I explained my plan to Yao, Wanda, and Agatha, they all had different reactions. Agatha of course laughed at my face. Wanda was happy to help me if I'd ever need something since she was also seen as a hero by the world, and Yao just seemed relieved. Maybe he was starting thinking I was getting too detached from the world because I only trained every day. But that's where he was wrong. I couldn't be more attached to it. I am part of it at a level no other being has ever been. My heart beats at the same pace as the heart of this world. I feel the life coursing through every single leaf, animal, and human in this world. Every second that I am alive I feel when someone dies, they get stabbed, shot, drown, or they kill themselves. And talking about suicide. Third POV. The wind blasted against the almost skeletal body of the boy. His hands trembled as he continued looking down. His down going down a spiral of self-hatred and loathing. He hated himself. He hated the way he looks, the way he talks, the way he lives. He had given up on life a long time ago, but he remained alive. The only ray of hope was his mother, the mother who was now hospitalized without hot chance of recovery because have no money to pay for the treatment, and boy couldn't he stand looking at his mother slowly dying, and so here he was. He ignored the shouts of the people on the streets. He ignored the people trying to open the door of the hospital roof he had locked. He ignored the sudden appearance of a man standing on his side. Wait, what? His head snapped to his right, and there, standing and looking forward, was the tallest man he had ever seen. He just stood there, uncaring of the height, and continued looking at him. This wouldn't resolve anything. His voice didn't belong to his body. If his body made him scared, his voice instead seemed to belong to a relative you haven't seen in a while. The body fought his surprise down and instead continued looking down. What would you know? You are strong, you have powers, you know nothing. His voice came out like venom. He refused to believe someone like that man on his side had ever been like him. He was weaker, stupid, useless, he could do nothing, he was nothing. The man's hand moved towards the boy, but instead of touching him, he showed his wrist and the visible scars that were there. The boy was shocked. He had similar scars, but they weren't like the man's. They weren't along the veins, but just horizontal and not as deep as the man's. He had tried but never got the courage, so he just relived his hate for himself in barely visible cuts. His body trembled even more. Why would you? Does a reason need to exist? Any reason can cause someone to think little of themselves. Anything can push someone to the other side, and no one is undeserving of help for something like this. My mother is ill. Maybe if I die, she will have enough to pay for the treatment. She wouldn't pay. No parent wishes to live longer than their child. She would hate herself for not seeing the signals. She would hate the world because no one tried to help you. But this is not the point. You don't have to live on this world because you love her. You have to live here because you deserve it. What if I don't deserve it? I am going to tell you a secret, can you keep secrets? The little boy nodded. A sliver of hope had already started forming inside his mind, a ray of light in the darkness that had covered his soul. I can feel the life in every single being. I can feel when someone dies, and I can feel the reactions that this world has when someone takes their life. I can feel the sadness at having to get life out of someone's body after he killed himself. There is a sadness to it that would make even the tough A people cry, because if there is one thing this world has as a rule, is that everyone is worthy of living, and no one is more deserving than someone else. The man touched the boy's back, and he felt the world screaming at him to stop, not to jump, to not force it to take his life away from him, and he felt every single person here looking at them, their worry, their sadness, the rage of his mother for being forced away from the scene, his mother, the mother who was getting weaker because of the treatment, who couldn't even get up from the bed without help, was pushing policemen away to try and get to her child, the mother who loves and doesn't want to see die. IAAMSSORRRY. The voice came out cracked, as he noticed tears coming out of his eyes. Before he even realized the man hugged him, his tears continued coming out, the emotions he had kept inside of himself coming out like a waterfall. The man continued hugging him for a very long minute, and he felt the boy calming down. He looked back at him. How about we go see your mother? The boy nodded, but before walking, the man opened a portal and made the boy walk through it, and there they were, his mother frozen as he saw his child, and the police frozen at seeing a portal. Mom. The mother had already lunged at the boy, hugging him with all the strength in his body, saying that everything will be okay, that she is sorry for being such a bad mom, that she doesn't want a world without him in it. Thank you, the mother said to the man. Don't thank me yet, the man said, and before anyone could move, a red aura covered his body as he touched the mother. Freeze. One of the policemen shouted while pointing his gun at the man, only for the boy to push himself between his mother and the man. The mother started changing, muscles began reappearing on the mother's body, and life returned to her face as a mass of cancerous cells came out of her mouth. The mass disappeared, who knows where, and he pointed at a nearby doctor. Show me the chemotherapy room. That day, no cancer patients, whether children or adults, remained in that hospital. The same goes for people with serious injuries, rare diseases, or even missing body parts. And that was just the first of a long list of hospitals not only in America, but in the world. Chapter 73. Third POV. He is lying to you all, those were fakes, he didn't heal anyone. Most of the headlines people read across the internet convey similar messages. He saved my mother, I don't care if he is fake or some bullshit like that, he is a hero, a thrilled kid said while holding the hand of his previously sick and almost dying mother. He is a monster, who gave him the right to heal whoever he wished and leave the other to die. He only healed those he deemed worthy. These types of headlines were the ones that were most ignored. The reason was simple, he hadn't stopped healing to this moment. He moved like a machine. He didn't stop, he continued healing. His body grew thin for a few seconds only to return to normal with just a few minutes. He healed cancer patients, people with missing organs, missing arms or legs by removing his own, helped those born with weaker constitution become stronger, removed the problems of those people born with physical malfunctions. From North America to Canada to South America to Europe, he didn't stop, he walked, ran, flew, healed and healed and healed. Nothing stopped him, no one stopped him, no matter the guns pointed, the baton smashing against him, the walls he had to walk through, he continued moving. For 72 hours, he continued moving across the globe. He didn't stop, he didn't eat, sleep, or even go to the bathroom. People began seeing him as a force of nature wanting to help humanity for the first time. Others saw me as an angel sent by God, or a demon sent by the devil to convince them. But the ones who had the most different reactions weren't the normal people or the reporters, it was the heroes. Ben's wife could now see and still loves Ben. Jane Foster didn't have breast cancer anymore. Tony's liver felt like new, and several others. Wolverine's poisoning was slowed down a lot as an example. I don't know how to thank you. Ben was about to hug him, but before he could, he had already opened a portal and continued moving. I had breast cancer. Jane asked me before Thor could. I guess I can't offer you a drink, thank you, Tony said to him. But he didn't stop. Until someone tried to forcefully stop him. First POV. I was about to reach an area of Africa I still hadn't explored for possible health problems, but I was stopped by an incoming aura I recognized quite well. There were two actually, but the second one wasn't as strong. Descending from the sky with golden light came a woman who was holding a black man with a bandana over his eye. What are you doing? Fury asked me, his tone low with a mix of anger he was hiding quite well. Something I should have done the moment I discovered my powers, talking about that? I waved my hand and absorbed the dimensional mana that had stopped the scar over Fury's eye from healing while also using rejuvenation to heal him. Fury froze for a second, he removed his bandana, and he could see, his eye had been healed. His mouth tightened the words he was about to say, going down his throat as he forced his anger back within himself. You are stirring too much, too fast? Are those the words you want to tell me, or the words America wants to tell me? You are creating a target on your back, and if they can't get you dash. His words died the second they were about to come out. The aura that had until that moment filled everything and everyone around me with life until that moment stopped existing, replaced by something different, something scary. The dimension distorted, the sky broke like glass, the ground trembled, my body became larger and far stronger, my skin changed to wood, my eyes, visible through my mask, glowed in a mix of colors as my hair glowed blue while floating in the air. I know where they work, I know where they live, I know every single member of their family. I could make all of their hearts stop just because. Do not threaten my family if you have one. Fury. With a simple trick, I made Fury's heart stop for a fraction of a second. His body reflected the effects very clearly as he kneeled to the ground. I looked to the mover who previously scared me to death, and felt her presence, the energy she emitted, far too chaotic for my taste. With a single step, her body stopped glowing as all of that energy was forced inside of her because of me, fearing my presence. But she didn't waver and remained strong. I can compliment her willpower, but I still forced her to the ground with another step, the blood on her body following my will. I can respect both of you, in some convoluted way. You just wish to protect this earth, and you are just doing your job, but remember you gave me time to grow, and now I want to use the time you gave me for this world. Do not stop me. I disappeared inside a portal as people continued shouting through the earpiece in Fury's ear. Third POV. At exactly the 100th hour, he finally stopped moving. Every single being, for the first time in Earth's history, had no illness or injury on their body. Hate continued coming, people continued shouting, and calling a dirty mutie, but they were getting covered, they were getting weaker as a single chant spread across the world. Thank you. Two simple words were everything he needed to continue moving, to continue going. His body had gone further than he had ever pushed himself. His mana reserves had been emptied and refilled thousands of times, and he now knew every single human being in the world, at least by name, and his mind finally snapped. Something was changing, and everyone felt it when it happened. Thanks. Chapter 74. You have spent 100 hours of constant use of magic. You know, on a superficial level, every single human on Earth. Several of your int and WIS skills have been pushed to the max. Your race is partially mana-based. Your WIS and int are both at the 499 mark. Plus 1 int/WIS. Your int and WIS have reached the 500 mark. A qualitative change will now happen. I know when my body changed, even more now that I am partially made of mana, and I have absolute control over it, but what was currently happening was beyond my control. What was going wasn't the usual minor upgrade. What is happening is an absolute change in me and my view over the world. When the system said that stats grew exponentially, it meant it. The difference between 1 and 500 is an absolute difference that can't be explained only through words, and must be felt to be clear. It all began with a pulse of pure neutral mana that made all electronics on Earth turn off for less than a second. Then came a wave of caused all animals to move towards me while humans felt like something was put on their shoulder. My body changed, my mana became denser, all my familiars now out to protect me during my evolution were also changing, becoming bigger, than they were before. Ivy coiled in herself and formed something like a cockon. Obsidian's body became bigger and new spikes formed around his body, golden lines appearing all over his limbs and wings. Zephyr's body became denser, the wind that composed it now feeling like water as his body became bigger, reaching the size of a small house. My hair became longer as they were made of mana, showing the increase in my reserves. My body got stronger, showing that it was partially made of mana. My eyes glowed like stars since they were directly connected to my soul, where all my mana is now stored. The ground turned into a forest, the animals that had already surrounded me became bigger, a tornado formed above my head, cracks covered the sky as the dimension itself wanted to come and help me, but most of all, the chaos mana tattoo glowed and created a hologram in the sky. I felt the presence of Agatha, Wanda, and Yao all closing in on my position. Some others were also trying to come near me, but were having a hard time because the mana itself was protecting me from ill intentions. And then it happened. I died, my body exploding in a wave of mana that caused all the sound in the world to be erased for a second. Every human felt sad, all nature was about to die, the cracks were about to devour all of Earth, and a wave of chaotic energy was about to bring destruction all over the universe. But then I wasn't dead anymore. My body reformed, my body more mana than it was before, reformed to show that my being wasn't human anymore, as I had transcended my mortality to become something more, something that could have a chance to fight against the big powerhouses of this and other universes. All the elements that had until that moment caused chaos all over the world stopped all moving towards me, seeping into my body with energy and power, being consumed for the creation of my body. Mana shaped me, made me more than I ever was. Mana coursed trough my veins, filled my muscles with power, strengthened my bones, tightened my nerves, empowered my soul. That was the first step, my mortality stripped away from me as I turned into the protector of Earth, as I turned into what I had always meant to be. Was I a mutant? Or were my powers something more? Something that was never meant to be? Were they even real or simply a way for my soul to slowly give me powers I had always meant to have? Even with all the powers I have gained, I have no way of answering these questions. The control my powers had over this universe and others is still impossible for me to understand. What I know, though, is that they will never stop my growth. The powers I gained, the skills I trained, the spells I learned, they are there for a reason I will now accomplish. Your int and WIS have reached the 500 mark. You won't be able to grow past this point by training. Race, human mana conduit equals elemental. Human elemental. a being of pure mana shaped into a physical form, you defy logic as you exist in two worlds, contrasting each other. You are made of mana, but this mana decided to turn itself into a human body. All the elements you have and will gain have now completely fused with your being and are yours to control. Effect: all use of mana will cost 50% less, mana control will be 50% easier. If HP reaches 0, MP will be used instead until HP is regenerated. You have become ageless, and time will do nothing to you. Thus, the age section of your status has been removed. New evolved perks. Large lake equals mana sea. Mana sea. Your mana reserves grow beyond what is normal. You are mana, and mana is you. Effect: MP equals int x 30 equals 15,000 MP. Mana catalyst equals origin of mana. Origin of mana. You have grown beyond using the mana in the air to fill your reserves. You are your source of mana. Your soul produces mana on its own, on a pace that surpasses reason. Effect: MP regen, sad face, WISX 10+, 1 with mana LV, percent. Equals 80-50 MP/min. Mind of the arcane equals soul of the esoteric. Soul of the esoteric. Your birth was a crack in the laws of this universe and all other universes. You exist beyond time and space. Your death will bring sadness to the multiverse. Your existence brings fear to those who oppose you. You exist, and thus, magic will continue to do. Effect: you are magic, all spells are yours, almost all of mana will bow if asked to do so. Don't push your boundaries though. I slowly moved my body from my meditating position, my feet not even touching the ground, as mana itself deemed it unworthy of my existence to exist on the same level as all other mortals. My eyes looked at the now recovering sky, the crack gone and the chaos symbol hologram disappearing, my eyes piercing the veil of space, looking directly at the beings threatening this world, my world. I will be waiting. Thanks.